Raise your hand if you're not here. Okay, there we go. We got one. Thank you. All right, good morning. Okay. Who we got in the back? I can't even see you all back there. All right. All right. And then we got the obligatory staff and CO row, and you can't even find seats in the way back. All right. Well, welcome to Back in the Saddle training. It's 23 January. So I don't know if everybody doesn't feel back in the saddle yet, but you're going to after this thing. So first and foremost, number one rule of all this training is what? Get your name on the roster. Okay? You didn't, it didn't happen. You can't prove it. You go over there and they'll be like, you're not done, and what happens? You get to do it again. Good news is, are we recording this?
Yeah.
And it's live streaming, so you can get on there and do like the hearts and thumbs up or whatever you do. Hey, this should be pretty easy. There's 437 slides to get through, so it shouldn't take too long. And I'm sure that all the presenters are prepared and ready to go. I'm kidding. I don't know how many slides there are. Just 100. I know the slideshow is bigger, too big to send via email. So that's not good, but okay. Here we go. Anyways, hey, it's great to see all of your shining faces. The CO wanted to be here, but he got a last minute tasker last night that he is dialed in on. So he's got to take care of that. So he says hello and he loves you all. There you go. So a couple things. Look, there's going to be a lot of different briefs, but really those should be conversations, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about with the career counselor. That stuff. If you are in the Marine Corps and you are on your first term, second term, last term, you got to pay attention to that because that is a moving target and you got to know because this year you have a very short window to put in your reenlistment request. So what I think that everybody should do, if you're in that window, hey, submit a request. Submit that. If you're an administrator and you can't stand being an administrator, well then ask her to move jobs, right? This kind of thing. There's all kinds of jobs that are super cool that we're doing in the Marine Corps, cutting edge technology stuff that we're looking to fill. And some of those, and I just talked to somebody about this, have like $60,000, $70,000 bonuses. So check that stuff out because I don't know about you, but I'd be all right with that. Buy my Tesla or whatever. So pay attention to that and then go take action on it. Don't wait until the last minute and be the dude coming over here like, hey man, can I get some of that being this week? Because you're gonna be out. And then we're gonna go through a whole lot of kind of annual training, that kind of thing. I get it. It's important, so pay attention. But one of the most important classes you're gonna get today is that UMAPIC class. All right, where we're going to talk through suicide prevention, substance abuse, stress management, all the things. All right. But one resource, and I know that they're going to talk about it, but the most important resource that you have is sitting to the left and right of you. And if you're sitting alone, like we'll get you there. Okay. But it's your peer support. It's those Marines and sailors that are sitting right next to you. Hey, leverage them. And you help leverage those other individuals. Does that make sense? So on the weekends, call somebody. Just check up on them. Because if everybody calls somebody, everybody's getting a phone call. We know that everybody's okay. Or they're not okay. And that's okay. Right? You didn't realize I could say okay 4 times in 1 sentence. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all I got. Because otherwise, Kevin Hernandez is going to boot me anyways. Did say I had 15 minutes. That's only 5 minutes in. All right, what do y'all want to talk about? I'm just kidding. We'll get going. Okay, it's good to see y'all here. I appreciate you coming. If you do have a moment and there's seats all the way, you're seated all the way in the back, there are seats up here. You can come up here and get a closer look at it. So don't be afraid. These Marines up here aren't going to bite. Although, Okay. Anyway, it's good to have you here, and let's go. Cue the smoke and music.
Next up, we're gonna have Mr. Sam Lewis. He's our embedded prevention specialist. He's gonna introduce his team under MCCS, and they have a bunch of resource tables set up in the middle aisle there and probably outside the hatch, so you can visit them during a break.
Good morning, Marines. How y'all doing? All right. We're going to have a couple of the MCCS representatives here today. Marine Corps Community Services all across the base, anything with the library, the education center, all of the exchanges, but we also have a deep and wide resource and referral, behavioral health, family support, all across the base, and even prevention coming in the room right now. We even have some representation from our chaplain, but I want to introduce Jacqueline. She's going to come forward and actually do the resource and referral. So give a round of applause. Yes. We'll have this Jade come at her.
Hey, good morning. Jacqueline with Marine Corps Family Team Building / Information Referral for and Relocation for MCCS. So basically, I'm your 411 for the installation. So if your mamas and daddies and aunts and uncles, even your grandparents ask you a question and you don't know the answer, you can give them my phone number and I'll give them the answer. The other piece that I do is if you're getting ready to PCS, you have to come see me because you have to take a PCS class and you have to fill out a sponsorship request form with Second Lieutenant Lewis. If you don't know who that is, you need to find him. And then I also do all of the welcome aboard. So if anybody is new here within the last 90 days and you guys haven't had your welcome aboard, I have one on February 4th at the S&P Rec Center. But you can get more information in the back there. Sam.
Jacqueline. So I will always refer to her when folks are coming or going to the Marine Corps. She's really good. They have a class called Smoothie Move, right?
Yep.
And that's let you know all the benefits that you have. Anybody going to be heading out of the Marine Corps, going to a different installation real soon? Going home? There are a lot of benefits that you have. The Smoothie Move class I highly recommend. And now we have Miss Jan. She's going to come up and she's going to introduce herself. She's part of the MIPS program and also the Community Counseling Center. So round of applause, guys.
Hey, good morning. My name's Shan Kite. I'm one of the counselors with the Community Counseling Program. I am also the Marine Intercept Program Coordinator. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about who we are and what we do, but please visit the table because we have the good old QR codes that you can scan, so you have all that information right on your phone. So, Community Counseling Program. It's kind of obvious. What do? Counseling. Somebody had to say that, right? So what I want to make sure you understand is the difference between what the community counseling program does, and say, like, if you go to division psychiatry, naval hospital, mental health. A lot of people don't understand the difference. We are a non-medical program. You can come and seek individual counseling, couples counseling, and family counseling. We do a lot of work with families, children, blended families. That's pretty popular. But we do, the difference between medical and non-medical is we're not part of your medical record. We're not part of Genesis. We don't have access to that. We don't do the diagnosis. We work within a scope of practice that is considered more preventive. So we want you to come and seek the counseling before it escalates to anything, higher level of care is needed. So just think about it. Given this example before, if you've heard it, I apologize. But I give this example of boiling water. How many of y'all know how to boil water? Right? It's pretty easy. For those who did not raise your hand, I don't think you're telling the truth, or you need some classes. Right? If you boil water, when you're watching that pot of water, what's the first thing you see? A little bit of bubbles, right? So with the community counseling program, what I want you to do is I want you to reach out when you start looking at your life and you start seeing these bubbles. What do you think those bubbles represent? Stress? Say it again.
Say it
I
loud.
have to speak louder. But when stress, right? Relationship conflict, just worried a lot, not sleeping well, not performing well at work. I'll say it again, relationship stress. It's one of the primary things we see. Catch it when you just see the bubbles. Because if you wait, if you walk away and you ignore that pop, what's going to happen? It's going to overflow, right? That's when we're going to refer to a higher level of care. So within our scope of practice, please understand, come to the community counseling program because we're going to try to catch it while you're just seeing the bubbles. Okay? Before it impacts your life a little bit more significantly. Okay? How do you access services? Again, the information on the back is going to give you the phone numbers you can call if you feel the need. If you need immediate attention, we can triage. If you come in as a walk-in, what we prefer is that you call. You're going to speak to a counselor when you call to make an appointment. We don't have the administrative staff just set an appointment. You're going to speak to a counselor so they can triage for safety, make sure you're within that scope of practice, and get you set up. And right now, we're getting people in probably within 2.5 weeks. It's not really that bad. Okay. But we can't do anything if you don't pick up the phone and call or reach out to us. So, any questions? If you have any questions, of course, just come up to the table. I'll be happy to clarify. And lastly, just especially any leadership, if you have any questions about Marine Intercept program, that's a program you have to be referred to. That's where we provide what we call post-pension when there's been an incident for suicide attempt or suicide ideation. I do the outreach for that program, and I can give you a little bit more explanation. Again, just come up to the table. I've got a brochure on that, and happy to inform you what that's all about. Good to go? All right, Ken.
I've known Jan for a long time, way back when, like 20-some years ago, before kids and everything. We've been working in this field for a long time. Worked out in town at a small psychiatric hospital, but quite a powerhouse over there. Don't let her side swing. She's awesome. She runs the Marine Intercept program. If you want to learn more about that, she'd be glad to talk to you. She's got her table back there representing Community Counseling Center. It's not just counseling. There's lots of groups, activities. Are they still having the yoga on Friday? They're having yoga. So if you want to go to a yoga class, how many of you guys do yoga? Some are into that hot yoga. I'm not into it. Next to the table, I want to introduce our family advocacy program. It's cool to say Miss Maureen and Miss Hannah would come up. And they play two different roles because Sam works embedded with the battalion. I work for this entire battalion here and those on the outreaches, but I'm primary prevention. So when you heard we're talking about community counseling and FAP, they'll come on up. They're secondary prevention. They're secondary meaning they don't need a medical doctor to talk to you, to counsel with you. It's not a medical thing, but it is a preventative type level. And we're going to allow these folks to talk to you from the advocacy program. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that support.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Family Advocacy Program and the Prevention and Education Program, which is under the Family Advocacy Program umbrella. Hannah here is an advocate, and she's going to talk a little bit about the advocacy services that are provided under Family Advocacy Program as well. So to talk a little bit about the Family Advocacy Program, those of you who don't know much about that program, it is a program that supports the Marines and their families by addressing and preventing family violence, including child abuse, neglect, and intimate partner abuse. Now, intimate partner abuse can be defined by anyone that you've had a intimate relationship with. You do not have to be married to that partner. So I want to make sure that we make that very clear. And we keep those Marines and their families healthy and mission ready. They provide assessments, counseling services, victim advocacy, safety planning, and referrals to both military and community resources. And this program does work closely with commanders, medical providers, legal services, chaplains, and the military police to ensure concerns are handled properly. That does help protect families while also supporting good order, discipline, and overall readiness. Now, in a minute, I will hand this over to Hannah so she can talk a little bit more about the advocacy services. Actually, I'll do that now, and then she can hand back to me, and then I'll talk a little bit more about our prevention and education services that we provide to support the family advocacy.
Good morning, guys. My name is Hannah Mills. I'm one of the advocates over the family advocacy program on Camp Lejeune side. We do have a family advocacy program on the Newburgh side with an advocate over there as well. My role encompasses a lot of things. It's pretty much what is the need of the client. So when a client walks into my office, it's first off figuring out what is the problem, what's going on, and is it actually abuse, or is it just do I need to connect with resources like Raise Legal or out in town in the community with a civil lawyer. So that's one part of my role. The other part of my role is safety. So when a client comes in and it is identified that there is domestic abuse going on, whether it's emotional, physical, or sexual in nature, or child cases, my role is to figure out, okay, what is our next steps to keep this family safe? What is the next step to keep the client that's in my office safe? Is that client going home? And if they are, how am I going to safety plan with that client to ensuring that an incident does not happen again? Or is that client needing a higher level, needing a protection order? Am I reaching out to command on behalf of the client, asking for contact order or a 72-hour cool down? Am I going with the client to the civilian side of the house and working with getting a civilian protection order and supporting them through that whole process? I do not tell clients what to say. I just support them and provide them the resources and like an invisible backbone to them. Then we're going back through and we're like, okay, what else is involved? Well, there's counseling. So I'm going to get them set up with their counselors so that they're ensuring that they're getting the help they need, but also ensuring that whoever's been identified as the alleged abuser is also getting the help they need, because we want to have this family safe. And if it's that they want to stay together, then what are we going to do to keep them together? I do go with them to NCIS if there's any type of law enforcement involvement. I go there as a support to them as well as like in the with VLC so that they know what their rights are. And ultimately, I'm protecting their rights as a client. When a client walks into my office, I do discuss what their options are. Restricted and unrestricted, we do have those two types. A little different from SAPR because ours is if command has knowledge of any of the incidences that have occurred, or if there's a child that saw the case, saw the incident, or PMO or NCIS was called out, it cannot be restricted. But if none of that has happened and the client just wants resources, just wants to figure out what they can do, work on themselves, what are their next steps, then we're going restricted. And that is just me getting them linked up with the counselor, checking in on them, ensuring that they're safe, and that the safety plan that we created is still working, and that do we need to change things, do we need to move things, and then additionally continuing to support them while this whole process is completed. And then once they say they don't need me, then we set ways and I move on to the next client. Now we do have times where families are mutual because both parties engaged, we're fighting over a phone. I am assigned to one client, my counterparts are assigned to the other one. We do not discuss cases, so I do not know what's going on their end, they do not know what's going on our end. We keep it that way so that we can make sure that we're providing our clients with the most unbiased support and non-judgmental support that we can to ensure that each party is safe.
Okay. And then so with family advocacy program, there are a couple facets with that program. They do have the advocacy, the advocates. They also have case management, and then they also have the clinical counselors. They do have the ability to do high risk couples counseling. So they do not have to open a case under the family advocacy program. So even if you do not have domestic violence in the relationship, but maybe have the potential to maybe go down that road, they do have the ability to provide counseling prior to an event. I also want to remind everyone that everyone in this room is a mandated reporter when it comes to child abuse. And do people know the difference between restricted and unrestricted reporting? Okay, just as a reminder, if you do not, restricted reporting is having the ability to make a report
but not having to go down the route of a legal process. So you can go to the Family Advocacy Program and make a report and make sure that you know it's restricted. But there are some boundaries with that. You have to make sure that like no one in your command, you can't report this to someone within your command. So there are some like safe havens, you can tell a chaplain, you can tell a counselor, but and then you can still make a restricted report. But unrestricted reporting means that someone in your command does know, and then you can tell a counselor and you can make a report, and then you do go down the legal route. So there are some, there is some differences with restricted and unrestricted. And then under the Family Advocacy Program, there are two prevention programs. We have the New Parent Support Program and the Prevention and Education Program. I just want to touch quickly on New Parent Support since they are not here. I'm sure everybody knows about New Parent Support, but those of you that do not, let me tell you about it. If you are pregnant or may be pregnant or have a partner that is pregnant, or even if you already have a child up to the age of 5 or through the age of 5, you are eligible for New Parent Support Services. They have the Baby Boot Camp, which is basically a one-day crash course in everything baby. And they also have the home visitor program where they can come out to your home or you can go to their office. And essentially, they just kind of spend time with you and the baby, and they just kind of talk about, where you and the baby should be developmentally. And they do a lot of activities with you to make sure that you guys are kind of getting up to speed and making sure the baby's on par. But Baby Boot Camp is a really great program to participate in. And when you do participate in that program, you walk away with a box of diapers and a pack and play. So even if you don't do anything else, do that for the free stuff, because that Safe Sleep program is a really great initiative to participate in. Okay, so now Prevention and Education Program. That's my program. What we do there is we provide evidence-based and evidence-informed classes, all with the idea of prevention. We want to prevent domestic violence and child abuse, obviously. So we provide classes in the areas of personal growth, relationship, and parenting. So we have a few classes. If you're interested in any of them, just come track me down, or I'll have a sheet with all the classes available for you. But in the area of personal growth, we have anger management, stress management, and sleep. I know all of you guys have problems with sleep, so come see me. We'll get you on track in just 2 classes. Then under parenting, we have Nurturing Fathers. It's a really great class for you guys. Just kind of talks about the culture of being a dad, how to connect with your kid, the importance of being a dad. Then we have Triple P, which is just positive parenting. We have a class called Children in Between. That's a really unique class. That's about co-parenting and separation. Even if you aren't going through a separation, maybe you're remarried and now you're co-parenting other people's kids. It's a really good class to take. And then we also have a class called Emotion Coaching. I like to call that one Tantrum Tamers. Little kids have big feelings. So that teaches you how to help them manage those big feelings. And then our relationship classes. We have one called Within My Reach. We have one that is called 7 Principles. Really good class. It's an all-day class where you just kind of spend the day with your partner, just like learning to how to connect with one another. And then we also have a class called Married and Loving It. You do not have to be married. It's just about learning how to develop some healthy relationship skills. And then finally, one of the things that we do in prevention and education is we have 2 big campaign months. We have Domestic Violence Month in October, where we do a lot of date nights. So next October, look for our date night series. We do a music bingo night, we do a line dancing night, and we do a yoga night. And then in April, this is a big announcement, guys. In April, we have a kickball tournament. So the April 24th. I really hope to see you guys form a team. It's already on our website, so you can go and register your team. And we spend the whole day just having the whole kickball tournament, all in honor of having, playing like a kid. And we'll have prizes. We have a t-shirt competition. Whoever's the best dressed team wins a prize. So hopefully you guys can form a team and come out and play kickball with us. Okay, that's it. You guys have any questions? Come see us at our table. And thanks.
Another colleague I've worked in Fulton Glen with out there on the battlefields of Camp Lejeune, pushing prevention, pushing it. Lots of good classes. How many in here would have gotten my email this week? That's not a big blast email with a lot of resources there. All the things for mention that FAP program and FAP prevention just shared was in that email. Some of the really, really good classes. So a little quiz time before we transition to our next person. What do you think some of our stress points are that are pushing Marines over the edge right now? What's one thing? Money. I mean, you guys have enough money in the bank. Some of you guys day trading, doing all that stuff. Some may be struggling with money. It affects from the top down. I don't care what rank you're at, but when the money gets funny, things get a little stressful. So that rolls right over into stress. And then we have married couples or families that can also add to stress too. And we also have a lot of marital classes involved. I know how many are preparing or maybe engaged to get married? Anybody in here thinking about that? It's a great class. That this next program is resource and referral, but connected to Marine Corps Family Team Building. They have a class called Before I Say I Do. It's actually not while you're married, but before you actually get married, maybe not to get a dog, but maybe get a goldfish. Don't get a phone plan, maybe just get a track phone or something, you know what I'm saying? So don't go crazy. But Miss Sharon Mallory, she's going to come up. She's going to talk to us about Marine Corps Family Team Building. So let's give her a round of applause, guys.
Thank you and good morning. And like Sam said, you have heard from my coworker Jacqueline about the information, relocation, and referral. That conduit, like she said, the 411 to resources. But that is one of the teams at Marine Corps Family Team Building. We actually have 5 teams. I am on the Readiness and Deployment Support team. And what we do is we do all things deployment support, pre-deployment briefs, mid-deployment check-ins, the return and reunion, reintegration success. But we also do the readiness piece, which kind of sometimes seems to fall by the wayside. But readiness is something that all of us need. And the classes we offer on that end is we have our military readiness finder workshop, where we walk you through the process of putting all of your important documents in order and in a place where you can get to them quickly in case you need them. I always like to ask, how many of you have a copy of your birth certificate? All right, I see a few hands going up. Those of you that don't, think about where it's at. Is it with mom, dad, grandma, somebody like that? And now think about, are they in this area? If you needed that birth certificate today, how would you get that? We talk about that in the readiness finder class. We talk about how to get the documents, what you should have in order to conduct business or if you need it. Another class we offer is family care plan class. How many of you in here have a civilian spouse or dependents? All right, so if you haven't checked that family care plan lately, go ahead and check that. Because things happen, life happens quickly. You want to make sure that's in good order. We also walk you through that process. And then another class we offer for readiness is destructive weather. What's your plan? How many of you have a plan for hurricane season? All right, so not as many hands went up. And so that's another great class that we offer through Readiness and Deployment Support. Then we have our life skills trainers. That's some of our more popular classes because they're not as dry as some of the others. While we give great information in some of our readiness workshops, they can be a little bit dry sometimes. I try to make it fun, but our life skills trainers, actually Sergeant Major's wife, Sarah, is one of our awesome life skills trainers, and they offer classes like 4 lenses, the 5 love languages. Like Sam said, we have a great class called Before I Do. And that's not just for those that are engaged or thinking of getting engaged. If you've been married less than 2 years, you can still take the Before I Do class. And they go over communication skills, the things that can come up that cause conflict in relationships, and how to resolve those and basically build that stronger foundation. Now, if you've been married more than 2 years, we have another great marriage class through our life skills training called Strong Military Couples. And so again, that's designed for those couples that have been married a little bit longer. And it's just like we said, you take the foundation you already have, we make it even stronger through those workshops. We also do time management, stress management, anger management, conflict resolution. Trying to think what else we have. We have a lot of classes in our life skills for our life skills team. And I do have a list of those up there at the back. I'm kind of sitting in the back. So if you want to know about our classes, just come to the dark side up there. You can see me. And then, we have our family readiness team, which actually, trains your uniform readiness coordinators. And, they come out when there's a change of command and they talk to the command deck about what is going on in, MCCS and the resources that are available, but also how to run the family readiness program. Trying to think of our other team. So, well, and then we have our admin team. I drew a blank there for a minute. So our admin team, kind of runs everything in MCs or at Marine Corps Family Team Building, but you may see them out at events, resource tables. They go to, they try to come out to like the trunk or treat, that sort of thing. And, again, like I said, I have a list of our classes up there, as well as just some of the special projects that we have through Family Team Building. And then we're also that conduit to resources. So if you don't know where to call and say Jacqueline is in the middle of a training, you can't reach her because she is actually doing a Smooth Moves class, call Family Team Building. We'll get you hooked up to resources.
Joe, let's give this Sharon a round of applause. This training, this Bits is like a fire hose blast to the face of all morning of information. To retain all this is for everybody. It's kind of tough, especially when you get a little droopy eyed. You work last, you just got off your shift and you're a little glary and tired. But I'm in bed with the command. I'm right up at Building 8, room 223. Most of y'all have checked in or be checking out with me when you come to the battalion. But I'm here to be your tour guide. So there's a lot of programs being offered here. But if you can't like isolate that one thing, or there's something that you're dealing with that you need help with, come to me and I can be literally your consigliere or your tour guide. Anybody been to a new place or at a hotel or motel and you had to ask for information on where to go eat or a good place to get, good services? I'm right here. Okay, embedded in the command, Sam Lewis. All right. So, without further ado, I do want to hit the one big thing that we're working on. Marine Corps has this thing now called, it's been around for a long time, but it's called Marine Corps Total Fitness. Who's heard of this? Who knows the four pillars of it? First one's mental, right? And spiritual, physical, and then social. And I know our previous sergeant major used to sit down and say, okay, with all the new joints, welcome aboard brief. Take each one of those things, mental, physical, spiritual, social, and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. How are you doing? Just give yourself an assessment every day. When you wake up, from the leadership, from the top to the bottom, you can put a really good game face on. But when you feet hit the brakes every day, we're going to have to assess where we're at. Keep that delicate work-life balance. But just think about that: mental, physical, spiritual, and social. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next person to speak, Miss Julia Neal, maybe? Julia Neal? Wait a minute. Should we let Chats go first? Chats got a buck. He's got to go to retirement. So let's listen with that spiritual component. Round of applause for Chat Van de Swamp. Van de Swamp.
Marines. So up on the screen, you see a QR code. I have almost 600 people that have done the religious needs assessment. That's you can scan that. You can do that today. You get right away into my database if you do that. I'm required to have a database by the Secretary of the Navy that if something happens and they're like, I want to know something about this Marine, chaps, have you do you have knowledge, or what do you tell me about this Marine? And then I pull it up and you're not in there, it doesn't look good on our battalion. It doesn't look good on me that I'm not getting that information. So when you check in, you should have done that. If you haven't, scan that QR code while I'm talking. The screen will be up for a few minutes. It's about 8 or 10 questions, just basic statistics. And I'm the only one who can dig into that and access any of the material or any of your contact information in there. I don't sell it to anybody. I don't share it with anybody else. It's just in case we need it for helping you manage your faith and your spiritual support. So a couple of things coming up that I want you to be aware of. Safe Talk is one of the classes I offer. It's about awareness for suicide. If somebody in or around my network, in my workplace, in my social group is struggling, what do I look for? And then once I identify they're struggling, how do I have a conversation and get them to help? It's more geared toward getting them to a helping provider. But if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to catch it. And then you're going to kick yourself on the back end saying, I wish I would have known. We want to try to prevent that by giving some education. So that class I'm going to be doing with the Corporal's course, but I believe we'll have some spots in that class. If you haven't taken it yet and you'd like to Safe Talk February 6th, on the 10th and the 11th of February, I'm going to be working with Credo. Credo is our marriage relationship enrichment chaplain program side that does like date nights and marriage retreats and things like that. They also sponsor assist classes. Assist is intervention for suicidal mentality. So if I'm the only one with my buddy and they're struggling, how do I talk them out of the negative mindset and into a positive, what do you have to live for? We spent 2 whole days on that class because we practice it. We give you experience in talking through it. Okay, pretend I'm the guy. I'm on a bridge. What would you say? We walk through and practice that so that you get skills. You don't just get knowledge and you're like, yeah, I went to a class on that once, but it's just, it sucked. Well, this is not that. I've had Marines come through that class and say, Chap, it's the best class that I've had anywhere in the Marine Corps because you actually let me do this stuff. You actually give me the skills and I got to do it. And I feel like I'm way more equipped now if somebody's struggling that I could do that. So those are 2 things I want you to be aware of that are coming up. Now, Credo does have, like I said, some of the other marriage retreats and day-long trainings and things like that for relationships, for 4 lenses, things like that they do. All of that is no cost to you, but you do have to sign up. And you do have to make sure that you clear it. Like if you're going to be gone for a couple of days, you have to make sure you're not on duty so that you're able to go down to Myrtle Beach and stay at a hotel and get all your food paid for and go to a marriage weekend with your spouse. But you have to clear that to make sure we don't lose money on those spots that the military has paid for. We want to make sure those spots get filled. So I try to push the information out when I have it, but they release new dates like every 30, 60 days. They put new dates on their website. So go to the Credo website, Camp Lejeune Credo, or just Google it every once in a while, check their schedule. If it's something you're interested in. Family weekends are also something that they do. Those fill up really fast because they're not, we put a lot of money into them and there's a lot of families that would like to do something that's enriching. We go to a Great Wolf Lodge or something like that and you get some education along with some fun. But you got to watch their schedule. If you're not paying attention to it, and you don't get on it early, those things fill up. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. I am in the battalion. I am your chaplain. We also have Chaplain Arnold who supports weapons and the brig and networks. She's still here. She supports as well. If you need a female chaplain, we've got that available, 100% confidentiality for counseling and support. So that's all I got for you. I'm headed to retirement. I didn't dress up just for you all this morning. But I am here to support. If you need me, shoot me a text. Hey, chaps, when can we talk? My number's up on the screen. I'll find a time. I'll call you after I get out of a meeting or whatever it is, and we'll have a conversation right then, or let's talk on Monday or Tuesday or whatever works in your schedule. We'll find a time to talk. All right, Julia.
I'm gonna ask you guys to be brave for just a second. Raise your hand if, hopefully you're paying attention to the other resources in here, but raise your hand if you have ever used one of the resources that just presented. Oh, that's really good. Wait, that's great. Does anyone feel brave enough to tell everyone which one you used?
Counseling, ma'am. 2 years ago, I did the counseling.
Community counseling?
Ma'am.
Yay, I'm so glad. Thank you. Baby Boo. Oh, did you love it? Don't you get a gift card if you do it? You get a bunch of free, you guys get a bunch of free stuff. You can get, I think you can even get a crib, right? Or a pack and play. Yeah, the baby boot camp is humongously important for anyone who's having a first time kid and has nothing. I just had a child and I've never been so broke in my life. I don't understand it. Diapers, you guys. It's just really annoying. Anyway, so raise your hand if you heard about a program today that they just came to talk about that you would be interested in trying. You don't have to say which one, but you heard someone say something and you're like, you know what? That sounds like something I might need to do. Only 2 hands? You guys, come on. Thank you, Sergeant Major. Y'all, you have a million services on this base. I am one of them, and the benefit of me in comparison to the other wonderful services that just describe what they do is that I am in your battalion. I don't move around. I don't change battalions. I don't move and work with other people. I am your counselor. So the Military and Family Life Program is a little bit different than some of the other services that were just described. We are all licensed professional counselors in the state of North Carolina. So we are not, we are our license holders. We are independent practitioners. We could do a lot of stuff outside of base. I say that just so you know confidently that you're working with someone with experience. The biggest difference between me and other resources that provide counseling on this base, though, is that I don't document a thing. There will never be a record of any of our conversations together. I can't even confirm or deny to your leaders our appointments, which is very different. So there are services on base that just discussed what they do that can provide your chain of command those types of records if requested. They're not just going to give it to them because they asked, right? There are definitely a lot of different measures in place. But I say that simply to say, if you're not sure, but you think you might need to talk to someone about something, the best place to start is usually with myself or the chaplain. And the reason I say that is because that conversation can stay there. We can have multiple conversations after that, or I can help you get to one of the other resources on base if that is the direction that we feel is best. So I tend to call myself a low risk, high reward counselor for our battalion, meaning you're probably going to get more out of that without the fear of that becoming something permanent. The only time I do have to break our confidentiality, unlike the chaplain, and sometimes unlike some of those other services that do document, is if you are having active thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else. The only reason is because I don't have the capacity to do a safety assessment on you in the moment. And I'd really like to make sure you wake up tomorrow and go to work. So in that event, I do have to at least get you seen for an assessment. It happens, you guys. It is always okay. It's always very discreet. We will make sure you get the care you need so that you can go back, whether that's to get back to work the next day, get back to work next week. It's going to be okay. And then there's some times where I do have to get a victim advocate in the room. I'll step out, I'll bring a victim advocate in there. So kind of like what FAT just discussed, you've got your SAPR uniform victim advocates and your FAT victim advocates. If one of those people may be a really good fit for you, I might just be calling them when you're in the room with me and having them meet you in my office. So I do a lot of liaison work to make sure you guys get what you need. I really, really hope that there's someone in the room that has had the opportunity to work with me and would give me a good review. But if you haven't and you feel like you need to start somewhere, I'm sure one of your service members will have my number. I'm going to text someone. Raise your hand if you know where my office is. I know you know where my office is. Sergeant Major, I know you know where my office is. Over here. Where's my office? Yes. Which barracks? You can do it. Alpha, yep. I'm in the Alpha Barracks HP 51. First deck, I have the big blue door with the red stripe, and then the chaplain's office is right there. So guys, a little bit different about my office. I don't have a lobby, so when you walk in that door, you're in a counseling session with me and whoever is hanging out in there. So I usually have a sign that says, please knock. That's just to make sure that you're not walking in on whatever might be, if someone else is in there, or I have a sign that says I'm actually in a session. But you can always walk into the chaplain's office. There is a big lobby in there. You do not have to worry about knocking on that door because chances are that he or she, Chaplain Arnold, Chaplain Vandeslant, may not hear it because their offices are all the way in the back. So please walk into the chaplain's office. If I hear feet in there. Usually I poke my head out, make sure you guys are taken care of. But if you see on my door that I'm in a session and you open that, you're going to be joining us. So, which, you know, maybe that's what you're looking for, but I want to keep it as discreet as possible. So, please call me first right now. I'm unfortunately for like the next 2 weeks, I'm a little bit jam packed. So that's why it's good to call me before you come by my office. But I do just have a lot of opportunities where you can just come in my door. We can have 30 minutes together and that might be all you need. So hopefully that can be helpful to you. Okay, happy Friday. Who am I passing this off to?
I'll just do a quick thing, but I think we're gonna hand off to the captain. I want to thank all of our speakers that have stepped up today in our area. Primary prevention today, CHAPS, NFLAC, all of the NCCS behavioral health resources here. I know we do have substance abuse talking today a little bit, right? Nope, no substance abuse. So I know alcohol is always really one of those top things when we look at risk factors. I know a lot of us have our own idea of what alcohol is and what it does, but we do have those services as well. All the programs aforementioned, are they just for active duty service members? How many have spouses, children? A lot of these programs are open and ready for the dependents. Okay, so just don't just sidestep it. If you have a spouse or dependent struggling or needing help, we do have other things available. And information in that email that I sent out to leadership. If you get the plan of the week, I sent that information out. I saw all the receipts in there, but there's some good information in there and even some stats to kind of back up why we do what we do with this prevention. So we're looking at saving lives, correct? So, all right, I'm going to pass the mic off to Captain. Thank you all for your time. All the resources will be here during the break, so make sure you visit the tables.
Thanks, sir. Next is the career planner.
Counselor.
Good morning, Lawrence. Hi, my name's Carter Shu. I'm the career counselor. I'm one of the career counselor for the unit. We also have Sergeant Rob, and we have a DAP specialist, Sergeant Soto. He's going to come over to the brief after me. Okay. My job in the unit is to ensure I educate you, assist you, support you to have a successful career in the Marine Corps. Also, in addition to that, I want to make sure you will be successful when you transition to the next chapter of your life. Make sure you're taken care of, you have medical insurance, you have place to live, because I've received phone calls from Marines, just heartbreaking. Anyways, I listed a agenda on the screen. Next page. I'm sorry. This is what we're going to talk about today. If I don't stick with the agenda, I'll talk forever. So today I'm going to talk about retention timeline, CRP programs, what the terms mean when it comes to retention, reinvestment, what incentives that we could get, what kind of opportunities you could get, what kind of prerequisites you have to meet in order to be retained. We'll talk about how can you be more competitive in your other retention programs and transition to the reserves and TRS. Timelines. Each fiscal year, we will publish a retention campaign plan that will list out every single timeline that we have, and it shows what's your timeline in order to submit for reenlistment you can decide, right? So this fiscal year, we're processing now FF27 Marines, which means your ECC, right, in the current contract is between October 1st, 2026 to September 30, 2027. All right, I'm going to repeat that one more time. If your ECC is in between October 1st, 2026, this year, so September 30, 2027, next year, September, you are a fiscal year 27 Marine, right? If you are a first-term Marine, you're considered a AFTAP. That means you're on your first contract. If you are a careers Marine, which means you have been enlisted before, you're considered a ASTAP Marine. For January, we have already started our CRP program. That means you're so exceptional, you have been selected for the Commandant Retention Program, we can submit your reenlistment right now, right? We have also targeted level for first-time Marines. Some of these MOSs, they can get you up to over $100,000, right? That was, the margin was just published yesterday. If you want to look it up, 023/26. Depends on what MOS and how many months that you're willing to reenlist to, you can get up to over $100,000, right? Now, if you're a first Marine and you say, hey, I want to volunteer for an SDA, I can do that for you right now, right? We can go to recruiting, drone structure, MSG, combat structure if you're combat MOS, O3XX, stuff like that. Now, moving it to April, if you were not selected for CRP, no big deal, right? First Marines, you're doing great still. You were just, some of the MOS could be really competitive. That's why we can submit for you in April. A lot of these MOSs that we have in the battalion are fast-moving MOSs, like 0111, PMO, food service, PMO, BRIC, all of these MOSs. A lot of the Marines I've seen from last fiscal year before I came over, unfortunately, they did not submit for reenlistment soon, which means April, right? And the MOS get filled up, we run out of money, and we can't afford to reenlist more people because we can't pay for their next 4 years of salary, BAH, comrades, PCS, and stuff like that, right? So now we're into this, like, what can I do in this situation? Now, in June, we're processing for ASCAP rates, right? So if you have already reenlisted ones and you're not planning on submitting for any SDA, we could do that right now. This is really important if you're not in fiscal year 27, right? Because you're a leader, you're responsible for your Marine, left Marine. If your Marines are not educated, please take this information and relate it to them, or point them to me, and I'll explain everything to them. I just talk everything. So, now we're going to talk about ASCAP Marines who meet the following criteria. If you're ASCAP Marine and you're selected for promotion, we have a streamlined process that could submit you for reenlistment if you're already selected. Specific guidance has not been published, but once it's published, I have a list on my computer. I look at it every day. Your name is on my sticker, I promise. I'll hit you up immediately. The next one is Marines who executed the cross-fiscal year extension that have not taken effect. I have a list of your names as well. So let's talk about Commandant Rotation programs. So each fiscal year, Headquarters Marine Corps is going to identify the top 20% of the Marine from each MOS and publish their names on this memorandum in December. What it means to you is they probably draw the roster in November or the beginning of December. If you want a specific duty station or incentives and you want to reenlist in January, right? Because we have a bunch of MCC vacancies list published that's only available for CRP Marines. That means you get to pick first. If you want to be one of those CRP Marines, I highly recommend you to input all your score in the system before November, because once they draw the roster and you input your 300 CNT in there, it wasn't recorded, your name's not going to be on it. Okay, so start prepping, right? I know it's PFT season, but start prepping, get early. So once CFT season starts, get the updated score in there as well. All right, so terms of reenlistment. When I say, hey, you want to reenlist, it does not mean that you have to stay for 4, right? So I've seen Marines want to do 2 years to have a better transition plan, 3 years, 4 years, and it's up to 84 months this fiscal year, right? The SRB just published, and you can reenlist up to 84 months for additional 50K, just for, bonus. And your next enlistment will be whatever you have left on current contract plus how many ever months that you're requesting for the next contract. I tried to make this funny. I tried. I'm sorry. Hopefully it wakes you up. Incentives, we have duty station preferences, which means that you could actually ask for where you want to go next. We have bonus, kicker, and we have transfer education benefits. For careers Marines, transfer education benefits will be available to you if you have 6 years active duty service, you will be eligible. That means in addition to that reenlistment, 48 months is a obligated service requirement for you to be able to transfer your education benefit to your dependents. It doesn't matter how many dependents you have. You have 10, you can give them 1 month for each dependent, okay? Right. I really try. After Marines, if you want to receive a duty station incentive, you have to reenlist for at least 36 months. Okay, I can't PCS you to somewhere if you're just staying for 24 months. If you request to stay at the local geolocation, I can keep you at least maximum, 24 months. For ASCAP Marine, we can list geolocation where you want to go next, but a lot of the Marines already really familiar with talking to monitor process and stuff like that, so I'm not really concerned, and we're going to move on to the next. Okay. When it comes to duty station incentives, like we discussed previously, we can also volunteer you for SDA. We also have type 2 billet, screenable billet available for Marines. So some of the Marines would like to go to INI duty station. For first-year Marines, MSG would not be considered SDA for you, but it will be a screenable billet that you could apply to. So we all know the staff NCOs that are so passionate about their SBA intersection. We have drill instructor, recruiter, combat instructor, and MSG. If you're interested, please talk to them and see what you could be qualified for if you're volunteering for one of these SBA. Okay, especially for recruiter right now, if you volunteer, I can try to get you a designated RS, not the RSS where you come from is RSS, but RS is a whole region. It doesn't matter if you're married or not, you will get BAH, you will get comrades, you will get SBA pay. That's the highest paid SBA out there. It's $703 monthly, or you can take $425 monthly and a $10,000 lump sum in chunks. So if you have a car you pay off, or every month you want to use it to pay for mortgage, that's one of the better options for you. Combat instructor, unfortunately right now we're not taking anyone to volunteer to become a combat instructor unless they are in the O3 MOSs, okay? Actively in O3 MOS. I have Marines that left out of the O3 and they come out saying, hey, I want to be a combat instructor. Unfortunately, I can't. For females, however, if you guys would like to volunteer for combat instructor duty, that's available for you. Please come over and see me. Drill instructor duty, East Coast, West Coast, available for you. If you would like to consider volunteer for drill instructor duty, I highly recommend you to do that early because they get filled up pretty fast. And when his season comes, if they're full, you're going on recruiting, okay? MSG Deck Commander, that's for E6 Select and above. And you can go through the screening process to make sure you and your family are qualified for this assignment. This is a RS map, right? This is what regions that we have and what RS that we could possibly send you to. Volunteer season starts July every year. That means for RS incentives, all of these spots will be refreshed. We have 6 classes per fiscal year, and you can volunteer for any of these allocations until they run out, right? The popular areas are Florida, California, Atlanta, Texas. So if you want to go, I highly recommend you to come over to me in June, and we'll secure a place for you in July when everything's refreshed. All right, so reenlistment incentive bonus program, selective reenlistment bonus program. Because the memorandum was dropped yesterday, that will be the most updated one, is 023/26. You can see there's different kickers that we have. This is for fiscal year 26. So each fiscal year, we'll get a chunk of money. Then we'll talk about how we can spend this money into getting raised into what MOS and how much money that they could raise. All right, so now we're going to talk about transfer education benefits. For ASAP Marines, if you have 6 years active duty service and your dependents are enrolled into theirs, you have to gain 48-month obligated service to be eligible for transfer education benefit. For senior leaders, I've seen a lot of you did not take the opportunity when you were at 13, 14 years, and then you have to go over 20 because there's no option for you to transfer your education benefit beside that. Okay, so plan your future early, and we can get the most out of the Marine Corps for you and your family. Lab move programs. We have the newest updated MOS menu, NAC 1200.1J. It shows all the MOS available for us. If you want to look at the list on the right, we have targeted critical MOSs. They are high demand, low density. So these MOSs usually go through a screening, and they give you a pretty good amount to when it comes to bonus incentives. So these MOSs, they go through a sequence of screening, and they are very selective. Also, these MOSs will give you a great skill set after you transition out of the Marine Corps. One of the reasons we're having a trouble retaining these Marines in these MOSs is because they always find a really good job offer after they get out of the Marine Corps with the training that we have in these MOSs. So we have counter intel, MARSOC, recon, basic stuff, ELD, influence specialist, cyber operator. We have combat contract specialist. We have MCCS Marine if you're interested in open a business after you get out of the Marine Corps. We also have SUAS, drone operator. We have some air traffic controller job. One thing I would recommend you to do is retake your ASVAB. Do not be afraid of retaking your ASVAB, okay? I assume it was in high school when you didn't really pay attention, but if you study at the Education Center, they have free books, they have free resources, they have texts, mock tests with access code that you could take to improve your GQ score and your SF score in general. All right, now we're going to talk about reenlistment prerequisites. How do you qualify? Bottom line, be a good Marine. That means you are full duty, you're not pending for any legal action, you are not assigned to any alcohol treatment program or substance abuse program, you have a secret clearance, you are not assigned to PCP, and you demonstrate a good standard as a leader. All right, there's a whole list of it. One of the requirements for us to have is not to have more than 2 NJP on contract. I have reenlisted a Marine with 2 NJPs. So you have NJP, it's not even of the world, okay? However, if you have some sort of derogatory paperwork that needs a waiver, right? It's pack violation, you beat up someone's dog, you drunk drive, you know, stuff like that. We'll have to submit for a waiver. So please do good things. Now, you have to be worldwide deployable, which means you have to be full duty. And there are some medical conditions that would stop you from being worldwide deployable, but does not stop you from retaining the Marine Corps as of this moment. So medical issues. If you have these problems, you don't have to let me know, but you can just tell me that, hey, medically, I'm going through some process, and we'll proceed your reenlistment process later. Now, if you are pending for any legal action out of town, I cannot process you for reenlistment either. Okay, we'll have to wait for the case to be closed. Then we can resubmit for justification, see if we can try to extend you, stuff like that. Single parent is eligible to be retained, is eligible for SDA. There are plenty of single parent out there. doing their part. So that does not stop you from doing your duty. Fitness report for sergeants and above. If you have a day gap on your fitness report, please get it fixed. If you go to resource button, APIS, and there's a command resource, you can type in your EDIPI and it will show all the fitness report that you've ever received. And if you have a gap that you're not aware of, it's going to show at the bottom possible day gap from what day to what day. Then on the top right corner, you will see a number that you can call, or there's email, and you can just email them and ask them, hey, how do I fix this if you don't know how to fix it already? You have to have a security clearance, right? If you're going to a MOS, it's going to require you to have a top secret clearance, which, by the way, is worth of $500,000 for just a regular company to assign a regular civilian a top secret clearance. That's about $500,000, right? So if you go to this MOS, it's going to give you this top secret. You are going to look really competitive when it comes to employment opportunities after the Marine Corps. How can you make yourself more competitive? Right? More competitive means there's more opportunities open up for you. This is the tier system that we use. Many Marines have seen this tier sheet already. We take your make map, rifle range, PFT, CFT, your mental agility scores, your education points. Then we put it together. We'll rank you amongst the same fiscal year. You're competing with the same fiscal year in your MOS and see what tier you are. This is just a tool for us to advise you and make recommendations on what part that you can make improvements to make yourself more competitive. All right, so other retention programs. Let's say you are on the fence of submitting for reenlistment, and now all of a sudden something changed, and you say, hey, you know, I'm such a great Marine, I just didn't make up my mind on time. Now I want to submit for reenlistment, but the boat spaces are closed. There is a program for you called CGRP program. So historically, the general at each MSC, so Mickey East General, will be authorized to execute 2 more reenlistment for MOS, right? To over execute Marines for reenlistment. But this year we have not received any guidance on how many Marines we can actually reenlist. Word on the street, there could be a huge change when it comes to how many Marines that we can retain. We have some Marines that's currently doing the CGRP program. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you when the specific guidance will be published, but I promise you all the packages are at Mickey East level, and once we see that amendment, we'll immediately process that request for you. So if you're still planning on transitioning out of the Marine Corps, good for you, I'm happy for you, but I want to make sure you're actually taken care of if you decide to get out of the Marine Corps. All right, so pop quiz. If you have 6 kids and your spouse doesn't work, and you say you're gonna get out of the Marine Corps, you use your JAG roll to go to school. Do y'all think that's a good idea? Thank you. Please. So there are some programs that we can utilize for you to transition into the Marine Corps Reserves that still offer some sort of benefits and to assist you with your civilian life. One of the programs we have is Marine Corps Reserves, is Staff Active Reserves, SMCR. Sergeant Soto is going to introduce these programs in a second. These programs could offer you TRICARE benefits, retirement benefits. Deployment opportunities is just great, right? So that's a great list, and we also offer bonus. Now, if you're planning on transition out of the Marine Corps, please go to TRS. It's a requirement. Furthermore, it will help you better plan your transition process, right? It helps you write a resume. It helps you with all these resources that you can take advantage of. It helps you to do financial audits. So make sure you contact your unit transition coordinator if you're eligible for TRS 180 days out prior to your EAS. Okay. Okay, skill bridge program. MCCS website offer a transition readiness page, and under that page you will see skill bridge program. This skill bridge program is an incentive, it's not entitlement. The command is not authorized, well, it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory for the command to approve you to attend skill bridge program. So if you have, let's say, 2 DUIs, you want to go on skill bridge and get paid to be software engineers, and I'm not sure this is gonna get hurt. All right, so skill bridge program, if they have plenty of resources, if you want to just go to MCCS Camp-Lejeune Indian River website, there's TRS tab underneath that, there's skill bridge program. They have various of locations, they have different programs, and they have different requirements. The good classes always get filled up relatively quick. So if you find a program that you want to go to, make sure you're prepared for it early, then apply for it within the timeline requirement. These are some few good links that you could utilize. One of the major links that I recommend Marine to use is Google Stay Marine. When you Google that, it will show you how much money it is for the current bonus program. If you want to lab move, you can actually type in your GT, MM, EL, CL score is your rank and see what MOS that you're actually qualified for. Then there's information for SDA reserves. So if you just Google State Marine, and that's actually really helpful. Okay, if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to text me or call me. I answer every single phone call that's showing up on my phone. Like sometimes people ask me if I want to buy a car warranty. I said, do you want to bring a list? And they hang up. Okay, so that's my cell phone number. That's my office number. And my email. We also have Sergeant Hub. She's currently PME me right now. A lot of you have met her already. That's her extension. Please take a picture of it. Right, so now we're gonna transition into the reserve information brief services.
Comments? Comment break? I got comments. Yes. Morning, Marines. My name is Sonny Soto, the regional deputy from MCA East. Apparently, I got 5 minutes. So it's going to be super quick. We're going to be covering over the Marine Corps Reserve Information Brief. Going forward, we got the agenda, the conception, the reserve opportunities, incentive programs, key takeaways, point of contacts. Now, a little bit of conception that I have with that, right? A lot of Marines think you have to be enlisted in order to join the reserve. If you're a first-time Marine, you still got those 3 to 4 years in the back end, right? What that means to you is you don't have to re-enlist. You have no obligation per se, unless you commit to a bonus. Make sense? Now, going forward, if you're currently selected for the next promotion, you can take that selection to the reserve. You don't have to extend an active duty in order to get promoted. Make sense? Yeah, awesome. For example, if you're a staff sergeant or sergeant going to staff sergeant, you have to extend an active duty for 2 years in order to get promoted. That's what that means. So on and so forth. So if you want to take that selection to the reserve, you can. Now, if you get any orders that you deny prospect, you listen both or yours. What that means to you is PCA, PCS, promote, UCA, and all that. You can take that or to Oscar and join the reserve. You don't need stocks for active duty. Sense? Awesome. Now, what I have over here is the reserve. It is a part-time opportunity. It is supplemental income. As long as you contact the unit and let them know what you have at the moment, we can get you on orders. It's called active duty operational support, 8 hours orders. We can do it from 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 years, 3 years maximum. It's a limited tour. What that means to you is if you don't have a plan and you're about to get out, contact the unit that you're about to join. They can get you on orders, can have a plan, they have insurance, be covered. So if you have a family, you have a plan. Make sense? Awesome. Now, if you want a lateral move and receive bonus, you can do it in one single package. In the reserves, and it's not like active duty where we have to wait for my admins to come out. As long as you have the scores that meet the requirement, you tell me what you want. I can request it for you. And you have 1 year in order to go to them once. Make sense? Got a couple minutes, so I'm doing this fast. Now, if you want to receive a bonus, we can. I'm covering that in a later slide. Now, if you want to be 100% PNT, hopefully everyone here after you EAS, you get 100%. Makes sense? Free money. You can be 100% disabled. I've had reconnaissance Marines do jump operations, dive operations, shooting packages, UPSS, pretty much the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter. So,
You cannot double dip, right?
yes, I'll cover that in a second. So like he said, you cannot double dip. But that means to you is if you want to get paid by the Marine Corps and the VA at the same time, you can't do that. You have to pick one or the other. If not, you're gonna end up owing the Marine Corps or the VA money, and they're gonna garnish your wages to get that done. So, you're warned. If you want to do the direct application program, you can do it with terminal leave or skill bridge. As long as you stay reachable, by all means, go through it. And your command has to approve it. Make sense? Awesome. Now, over there, you have 6 months. Realistically, it's a year. Enlisted, you can submit a year out from EAS. 30 days minimum. For officers, it's 60 days. Make sense? Awesome. Over here, if you want to deploy, you can deploy all you want. And the reserve is super easy to deploy. We go USMC global bids, it's going to be hot fills. It's called individual augment. But that means to US, go by yourself, realistically. You get paid the whole time. If you don't want to deploy, you can defer deployments up to 2 years. It's Requirement 475/19. Cool. And super easy to deploy. All you gotta do is request. Go by yourself. Now, as far as balancing the civilian life and the Marine Corps life, I've seen Marines not be able to show up to drill. And when I say drill, I don't mean going to a break deck and actually drill. It's actually going to go to the unit and actually work. It's as long as you communicate with the unit, you can move those drills to the right. So whenever you can't show up to the unit, you move all those drills to the right, make up that time on your own. Cool. Awesome. Moving on. This type right here. It's basically if you continue the reserves, time of service and grade continues. If you have that selection, don't deny. I already had 4 sergeants in either selection for 7-0. Once you deny that selection, you send that page 11, you're done. You have to recompete on the reserve side. Sense? So please take that selection, educate yourself, and if you're okay with denying it and you're done with the Marine Corps, by all means, send the page 11. But other than that, please don't do it. Now, camaraderie and networking is a big thing in the reserve. I've seen Marines just wear this uniform because they like it, obviously. And realistically, if you do everything, you're gonna do networking as well. So we have Marines that already started companies, something like that, or are working for a company that you want to be with, or a three-letter agency. For example, my old CO in Third Force Recon, he was an FBI agent. We had 2 reconnaissance Marines that wanted to submit for the FBI. They didn't know the whole process, but we were able to bypass the whole indoctrination piece just because he knew someone. So it pays to know someone. Make friends. All right? Look to the left and right of you. At least remember the name. Now, PMEs, if you are a corporal and below, we have in-house PMEs. We basically do it in 2 days. We don't have all the time in the world in the reserve to do PMEs. If you're a sergeant above, it's 2 weeks of deployment. Cool? So it's way shorter than I can do. You get paid the whole time, too. So keep that in mind. If you're EPME complete, join the reserves, go to the PME, and you'll be good. Awesome. Cool. Now, civilian employment. Pretty straightforward. The MCCS covered that. I'm not going to be the dead horse on that. Career flexibility and opportunities. As soon as you communicate with the unit, we can get you on any follow-on training, incentives, so on and so forth. What that means to you is if you want to go to a unit, work for a long time, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, like I said earlier, you can. If you want to get jump wings, for example, as long as you have the funding, we can send you. If we can do a big waiver, we can get you to the Army training, you can get your wings. Make sense? That's just an example out there. We have the funding. As long as we have the funding, we can get it for you. Now, that piece in the bottom where it says obligation and obligation. If you want to go in the reserves, right? If you want to go try it out, stay non-obligated. Don't request any incentive. What that means to you is you go there, you try it out. You don't like it, you can leave at any point in time because you're non-obligated. You have no obligation to the reserves. That's all it means. If you take any incentive, you become obligated, like obligated. In that sense, you have to serve your time. The only way you can break your contract is, for example, you take a bonus and you have a 3-year commitment to the reserves and you take a $20,000 bonus. If you serve 2 to 3 years for that 3-year obligation, you only owe that 1 year back. So it's prorated. If you get paid, it's taxed. And you get paid back, it's untaxed. Keep that in mind. Make sense? Awesome. Don't think later on that I didn't tell you that. Now moving on. This right here is your pay and insurance. If you look in the top, corporals over 2 years. For 2 days of work, it's $408. For captain, I don't really see right now, but $904. The more days you work and so on, the more you get paid. Makes sense? Cool. Now, if you have a family and you're going to stay single or have family, you got insurance, Striker Reserve Select. What that means to you is if you opt into that Striker Reserve Select, literally it's going to stay the same. It's locked in. As long as you take Striker, take it anywhere. If you want to have 20 kids and you have a family plan, that's gonna stay the same as well. Full coverage, as long as you take striker. Makes sense? Cool. Now, if you want to retire in the reserves, you still gotta do 26 years, right? Doesn't matter active duty or reserve compliant. But minimum requirement, you gotta be a staff sergeant, you know, to take 20 years. If you're a sergeant, it's 13 years, service limitation. If you want to be a staff sergeant, do 20, you gotta request it, Appendix A, retire. Now, if you're gunning, so on and so forth, if you see the points right there where it says 2,260, by the time you EAS in 4 years, you're gonna have roughly 1,460. Makes sense? Got a lot of heads on. Now, if you want to retire and request it in the reserves, a little caveat with that is you don't get like active duty right away. What that means to you is you don't get your pension immediately after your 20. Since you get your pension immediately later on at 50 minimum if you did 10 years in active duty. Now, normal is 60 years old. So, little caveat there. If you, for example, if you're a seasoned staff and CR officer and you did 16 years active duty and you go to the reserves, you opt into this retirement. You forfeit the active duty. Make sense? Please don't do it. Now, if you stay affiliated to the reserves with the Marine Corps, you're going to bring complete services. Now, these are components. You got SMCR, typical agreement of service. You got typical structure, which is company, battalion, squadron, regiment, so on and so forth. It's basically weekend war. That's all it means. Cool. As long as you communicate to the unit, you can front load. So, for example, if you want to do all the drills for the FY and wear this uniform 36 days out of the year, you can. And forget about the uniform. You still rate insurance and everything like that. Now, 24 days is going to be in-house. So the actual unit, 12 to 14 is going to be annual training. As soon as you get your drills and your annual training like done, you can forget about the uniform. Sense? Now, all my options over there in SFCR are mainly CONUS. IMA is more big war rules. If you want to go support active duty personnel, you go IMA. It's mainly CONUS. Tell me what you want, we can get it for you. Now, if you see active reserves, for example, Lance Corporals through staff sergeant, and if you're a staff sergeant, it has to be 12 to 24 months and rank. Other than that, it's going to be a little harder to get you in. But you can go from active duty to active reserves. Little difference between active duty and active reserves, it's almost none. Its component code is different and who pays for it. But we mainly go to I-9 duty station. So if you want to go to I-9 duty station to I-9 duty station, that's for you. Makes sense? Now, first duty station, the monitor is going to come to you personally and tell you what you want to go. If he doesn't have you like on that list, he's going to like ask you what he has, and if you're okay with it, cool. Request something. You can request a bonus. We can't do MSG. If you want to do MSG in the active reserve, we can't. That's we can do drone instructor, code instructor, and we do price recruiting, not non-prior. So we don't recruit the civilians, we recruit the prior Marines. Make sense? Now, if you look over there where it says individual ready reserve, that is basically you still have a contractual con with the Marine Corps, you still have a contract. But you EAS, you're done with the Marine Corps activity. You're not drilling, you're not doing anything. That's what it means. All you gotta do in that component is just keep your MO updated, show up to the musters, they pay you for the musters. That should show up. It's typically 2 to 4 hours, they pay you 150 to 250. Cool. Awesome. So, there you go, very good. Now, these are incentive programs. If you see over there in top left, that recalculation, they give you 6 months of free tracker as soon as you submit and stay drilling with you. So if you have family, you get 6 months of free tracker. After that 6 months, you have to opt into tracker for service. It's up to you which one to do. Now, over there, you can guarantee your break in the unit. So the specific unit that you want, as long as they break you, we can get it for you. A year out or 30 days minimum. So if you want to plan ahead, by all means. And if you see over there, transportation benefits, that promotion, please don't deny it. I keep harping on it because I've had individuals over the time. Very smart. Now, obviously money, you see over there, the recreation program bonus. 3-year commitment, you get 20,000. Right? If you do the math, you get the one in this uniform 36 days of the year. You don't think it's a lot, but 36 days of the year. So, okay, you can pick what obligation you want. So 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If you want to maximize and get 3-year commitment and $5,000 on top, the kicker, right? We have to look at that Mirama and see what MOS is rated and what duty station rated. If you're willing to go to a specific unit for 3 years, you can get 25,000. Now, depending on the obligation, if you want to lap move as well, it'll dictate 1 year commitment, 2 year commitment, 3 year commitment. You can see over there where it says like how long the schoolhouse is, it'll dictate the obligation. If you're a corporal, for example, and you want that move, you can take all three at once and just go. You have 1 year from the moment that you join the unit in order to go to the most. Sense? Awesome. Thank you guys. First up one. After your corporal, you can request 50 points of day pass. If you're close to promotion and you got a couple points off, you can request that day pass. 1 year commitment. Any questions? Awesome. Now moving on. These are your units. I mainly only have bonus for you because if I put the whole map, all the units, it'll be way too much. You guys are very big seated. If you see over there, if you have to, you can grow in California and you can live in North Carolina. I had a mate in my previous unit that lived in Africa. He showed up twice a year to do his rows. That's it. Marine Corps doesn't care as long as you show up. Go. Awesome. Also, the Marine Corps pays $750 on travel reimbursement. They pay for your lodging, your food, your base pay, and your travel. So you gotta do is show up. Cool. Awesome. Don't follow up contract if you're enlisted. If you follow up contract, you have to do an off contract extension. What that means to you is you have to go to Mexico. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go to Mexico. But anyway, thank you for your time. Keep your options open. Don't deny your selection, please. Hold on. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, counselors right there. If you need to, just go ahead and take 1 minute, stand up, stretch. We'll move into OPSEC, anti-terrorism, and then we'll take a 15-minute break.
So make mine super short. That's gonna fly by.
Estaba allí.
Yeah.
That's great.
We good. That's it.
Whenever you want to take studies, right?
Yes,
I don't have. So hopefully it's not staying. I would end with this. Last night.
Yeah.
Let's say it's African American. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I'll be waiting for all the time.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We can go ahead and push, get us closer to the break, and then closer to closing out bids for the day. Okay, good morning. My name is Kat Hernandez. You can find me in the S3, HNS Battalion Building 8. I'm the offset coordinator for the battalion. And these slides are courtesy of the offset, regional offset manager under the G35. So here's that 5, you're dialed in. Thank you for that. Good thing about this training today is really 2 things. So this training protects the institution and yourselves, and it's also your annual training for 2026. So make sure you are on your company's roster. Okay. We'll start with really what is OPSEC, operation security. Really, this is a systematic approach to how we identify critical information and how to protect it. Okay, we'll get into that when we go into the steps. All right, it's important because it really it's an effective method proven to prevent the aggregation of information and exploitation of critical information and later our operations, really things that can inhibit our mission accomplishment. All right, briefly here are the references, and you can find these under the training tab in Teams under S3 training. But there's one I want to point out there at the bottom. That's the Mickey ECG policy letter 3-24. That's important. We'll get to it when we're reviewing the steps, but really it's a blanket requirement to that prohibits the taking of photographs and videos aboard the installation. And I know ask, hey, we have CompStrat, they do it. Well, they're trained professionals that follow the OPSEC process. And that's why we have them. We don't contract those people out. You'll see the OPSEC cycle. A lot of things I just touched on in the intro, we'll touch when we go through each of the steps, okay? And we're just gonna go ahead and kick it. The first one is gonna be analyze the threat. So really what a threat is, it's someone, so your adversary that has the intent to harm and then the capability, okay? So that's gonna equal your threat. We use the word adversary. You know, what's an adversary? This is someone who's going to counter your operations, counter the things that you're doing. They're going to impede what you're doing. This can be enemy nation states, terrorist organizations. It can be simple hackers that are acting on behalf of enemy nation states. And then we're going to roll into critical information. So critical information, so really this is just information that once aggregated or put together, it can be used and exploited to stop what we're doing as a warfighting organization, okay? So we're going to get into kind of like what that is. When we think about critical information, that's anything they can gather or collect on you or what you do for a living to harm you, right? Cause harm to national security. What you do for a living, in particular, you want to protect that, okay? What exactly are we protecting? So every unit is required to have a commander's critical information list. Mickey East and HNS Battalion are tightly nested, they align. And these are the main categories that we basically use as a guideline with subcategories particular to what we do within our units to understand what to protect. Well, who's collecting? You know, how are they collecting on us? It's very simple. The adversary collects in many ways, so they're going to collect through just simple conversations with you, usually off base. They're going to be eavesdropping on things that you're talking about, whether it's on your phone or talking to a friend. They're going to really gather up, like, mostly what they end up knowing about you is going to be through social media. So just be very careful with that. And they can also just use open source. Okay, so that's going to be like their first step. And then even just things when they look in the trash can, you end up throwing the document away. And you didn't follow the TG's policy and shred it. That's a problem. So that's a risk. Now we're going to get into analyze vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is really something that you need to protect, but it becomes vulnerable, you know, because there's a risk that this information could get out if you don't use measures to protect it. The vulnerability is something that's going to if compromised, it's going to compromise your mission, okay? And it's also, there's levels of severity of harm of what it can do to national security. Here's an example. So I put some videos down there so you can access at your leisure, but really what's happening is a lot of information is getting aggregated or collected from really what you're posting and where you're located. There's a lot of studies and incidents that actually happen real world that, you know, combatants, not our own, but combatants are live streaming major operations and movements. And you can either, if you don't already see where they're located in the background, you can see where they're at through their geolocation. Here's a list of other common vulnerabilities. Email, if unencrypted and marked incorrectly, can be an easy vulnerability. Going along with the commander's critical information list, we have indicators or clues that can also give away or hint at, you know, things that say, hey, this is information an enemy would want to collect. Hey, this is important here. You can go ahead and read that. So, you know, if you are training aboard Camp Lejeune and you train in a pattern that you don't change up, like a sudden change to that would be an indicator to whoever is watching you, because someone is watching you, right? So the adversary is studying you probably more than you're studying them. So just try to understand that. We already touched on this data aggregation. That is just really very simple information that you're already giving the adversary, right? So social media, your family, people you follow, people that follow you, and then what you're posting. Okay, so the risk, so really how likely is your critical information or, you know, going to be accessed or inadvertently disclosed? And then what, you know, how detrimental to national security might that be if, you know, left in the wrong hands? Okay, so that's something we have to assess. Going into that, in assessing counter, but you know, we have to go ahead and apply countermeasures. Okay, so once we identify risks to our vulnerabilities, really that happens internally or during working groups, we're going to apply measures that prevent that from happening. Okay. All right, this is one right here. I know you are already tracking this, so for those of you who use your email, you're going to want to encrypt it. There's a setting you can put, so every email you send out is automatically encrypted. Now, when this box pops up, that person does not have the ability to see your message, so it's going to ask you if you want to go ahead and bypass that. You shouldn't do that. What you should do is give them the instructions you can find under our OPSEC tab under training on how to enable to receive encryption emails and things like that. It's gotten easier now to mark emails with CUI. So unclass or CUI, that's just by hitting the tab at the top. Some of you haven't noticed this before. So instead of filling all those markings out per the order or the DoD directions, you have to go ahead and just click that and it's going to populate everything for you. So when that person opens it up, they know they're accessing something that is controlled, okay? All right, and there's some more there. We're going to go into public release. Okay, so I'm going to give an example right here down at the bottom left hand. So PowerPoint now has the capability to mark it to you. So instead of just writing CY at the top and bottom of all your slides, no matter what you're briefing, there now is a button you can click in a setting to have this controlled within the DoD if you so choose to do so. Okay, so and then just follow the directives when it comes to public release, and all those directives can be found really on the SharePoint for Mickey East, or in this slide, you can access them under the S3. And then countermeasures will review those again, just, protect and safeguard your information, because doing so protects you and the institution and national security. It really goes hand in hand. So real quick, just remember where this is located. If you have questions, you can find me in the S3, but you can also find this under Teams, the S3 page under training. And this does count as your annual training requirement. So again, yeah, it's a check in the box, but you got to keep reviewing this constantly. Do you have any questions? If there aren't any questions, we'll move into ATO, and then we'll take a 15-minute break. That's good. So the DoD, Department of War, did let out guidance for AI that we can use. So there was a message pushed out in Teams. If you don't have that authority, just see me after. There is a capability to use AI within the Marine Corps. So please get with me. I can give you more information on that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Prumpower. I am your battalion ATO officer. Also, I'm your supply officer. So all your FIPLs will come through me eventually. So make sure you give a good justification. Just so well. Fine. All right. So AT level 1. AT. This is what we're going to be going over: the introduction of terrorism. What is terrorism? Some protective measures, suspicious activity, how you report it. Insider threat, so give some basic knowledge on IEDs, and then the FPCON measures. Slide. Introduction to terrorism. Slide. So, sorry, can you read the definition for terrorism?
The unlawful use of violence or threats of violence, often motivated by religious, political, or other ideological beliefs, to instill fear and force governments or societies in pursuit of goals that are usually political.
All right, give them one. Give them one. Slide. All right, so terrorist operations. These are just some of many how terrorists operate. You got active shooter, knife attacks, bombing, sea burn. The list goes on and on. Slide. All right, so terrorist planning cycle. So this is how the terrorists kind of go about choosing a selection. So the first one, it's kind of faded, but broad target selection. What do you think a broad target selection for a terrorist would be? Anyone? Marines. All right, that's pretty broad. I like that. Next, it goes into nope. Go back. Intel surveillance. Okay, trying to figure out exactly what they need to make it a successful attack. Next is the pre-attack planning. Okay. Rehearsals, attack and exploit, escape and exploit. So I'll kind of take this step by step for you. So broad target selection could be the terrorists are on the East Coast. They're looking at all of the installations on the East Coast. So Cherry Point, New River, Camp Lejeune. That's very broad. Okay. Intel surveillance. They're going through each gate. They're having broke down cars. They're having protests outside the gate, whatever it may be. Then they're going to do their target selection. Let's say they're going to do Camp Lejeune. They're going to target Camp Lejeune, Holcomb Gate. So then their pre-attack planning, they're going to stage a dead car, a car battery died right outside Holcomb Gate. They're going to go through their rehearsals for that. And then the attack is going to happen. So with all of this, you got to be mindful of exactly what's going on wherever you go. So case in point, a couple months ago, I was coming up through the gate and there was a car on the side of the road. I wonder how many people let PM or the gate guards know that there's a car on the side of the road, not 200 yards away. Probably not many. However, I let them know because I took this class, 18 level 2. So just a little mindfulness for you. Slide. All right, homegrown terrorists. There's two types of homegrown terrorism. Sir, can you give me the first one, the homegrown violent extremists?
Are individuals who are inspired rather than directed by foreign terrorist organizations to commit acts of violence in their communities.
Give him one. Give him one. All right, next is the domestic violent extremists.
Are individuals based and operating primarily in the United States without direction and inspiration from a foreign terrorist group or foreign power seeks further political and social goals.
All right, give him one. Slide. All right, here are some terrorist attacks that have happened throughout the world and in the United States with respects to the HVEs and the DVEs. We see some of them, Norfolk, Virginia, the Parkland High School, Ohio State. So a lot of these hit home to some of us. So just identifying which terrorist group or entity is attacking these gives you a little better knowledge on that. Go ahead, slide. All right, individual protective measures. What can you do to protect yourself? The first one is become a people watcher. Who all goes to the mall and just like watches people? One, two, I know a lot of people do. I do it all the time. I'm like, I have conversations. I'm like, this guy's just weird as hell. But anyways, become a people watcher because you can see if someone is acting suspicious and they're kind of out in the corner, hands in the pocket, down. Okay, that's a little suspicious. Okay, someone has a trench coat on, you know, really baggy clothing, might be hiding a gun. You don't know. But to make that identification, you got to know. Keep informed. All right. Who all watches the news? Yeah, barely anyone. Who watches TikTok and stuff like that? Everyone. Okay. It's just another news platform to convey information. So when you get that stuff, make sure it's credible, but it's a good source to figure out what's going on in the world. I can go down each and every one of these. However, it's just basically what can you do to protect yourself. So go ahead and slide. All right. Suspicious activity reporting. Hold on right there. Nope, go back. All right. What are a couple ways to report suspicious activity? Eagle eyes. One more, or two more actually. Anyone? Suspicious activity. Anyone? Hey, there, who said it? All right. One more. Actually, it's like a combination. Okay. If it's late and a car's just driving around over and over again outside the barracks, you wake up, you see it. Who? OD. OD. All right, slide. Who said it? All right, hands up. Perfect. All right, so you have law enforcement, non-emergency number. Okay, if you call just 911 and they say, hey, there's this crazy thing, they're not going to just hang up on you and be like, you're making a false police report. That won't happen. However, try to call the non-emergency number if it's just kind of just suspicious activity rather than emergency. Your chain of command, you got myself, ATO, you have your command, your OIC, your SAP NCO, duty, okay, and then Eagle Eyes. Eagle Eyes is a reporting chain or platform that goes all the way through myself and to higher. So if someone puts it on Eagle Eyes in Cherry Point, it hits every installation to let them know that, hey, this happened. The turnarounds, that happens. I get notifications from turnarounds up in Virginia. Okay. So just make sure if you see something, you say something. Okay. Slide. All right. Yep, basically just said that. All right, see something, say something. Tested security, unscheduled deliveries, suicide ideations, anything that kind of puts a little your hairs on the back of your neck up. So just see something, say something, slide. Okay, active shooter. Hold on right there. All right. Oracle, how many exits without looking around do you know in this building right now? 4? Okay. Turn back. Okay. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. There's also 2 in each side, so there's 6. Okay. So who made a mental note of how many exits there were coming into the auditorium? Anybody? A couple? Okay. When you go out to eat, do you put your back towards the door or face the door? Face the door. Why is that? You can see the danger. See the danger coming, right? You kind of look around, you're like, okay, there's an exit. All right, here's the front door. Boom. Something goes down, I can get out, right? All right. Next. The 2 key takeaways I want to take from this is discuss this with the members of your unit and discuss it with your family. Okay. The reason I say discuss with the unit is how many in each respective shop, you don't got to answer, but just think about this. Have you had like an active shooter drill or scenario? Okay. What about if you're out at dinner with your wife, your spouse, your family, and an active shooter comes out? What are you going to do? Do they know what they're going to do? Okay. Lastly, be prepared to run, hide, or fight. Okay. I say run, hide, or fight because most times when you're out with your family, you don't have a weapon, you don't have anything to protect yourself or your family with. Okay. So you want to get out of there as quickly as possible. The second thing is if you can't get out of it as quickly as possible, you got to hide somewhere. Okay. Got to hide behind some chairs, put the table, try to stop some bullets, whatever it may be. And last resort is the fight. Okay. Slide. Okay. Who remembers this incident? It was out in Las Vegas, active shooter in a hotel room on like the 5th or 6th floor. Okay. This is happening more and more frequently. So I want you to kind of, who knows about the OODA loop? Couple? Okay, does anyone know who it originated from? Does anyone know who it originated from? Okay, so I like Air Force. Yep. So John Boyd, I like to give credit where credit's due. So we took this from the Air Force from John Boyd. He was a fighter pilot in the Korean War. And from there, he created this decision-making loop, so to speak, to come to observe, orient, decide, act, and that's not good, but yeah, observe, orient, decide, and act. Okay, so he came up with this while dogfighting, so he can come up with a decision quicker than his enemies. Okay, slide. Okay, the biggest thing for this OODA loop where it starts to slow down is the between orient and decide. Okay, so when you're thinking about that is if shooters come through the back door and they start blowing everything up, a lot of response will just be to like, what the hell is going on? We need to get down. What do we do? What do we do? Besides, okay, get the hell out. Let's take the exit. Let's hide. Let's sculpt them up. Okay. So denial, deliberation, decision. You need to make that as quickly as can be. Slide. How do we eliminate denial? Anybody? Yeah. Say it one more time. Accept your circumstances. I like it. Okay. Slide. We eliminate denial by by knowing your surroundings, okay? Where the exits are. Make a decision and act with all your effort, okay? Not second guessing yourself. Ready? Catch. Man, I should have been baseball. Okay, so know your surroundings. Like I just asked the sport pool, how many exits are? Only be got 60%. However, if we kind of take a look around, make that mental note, we'll be a little more prepared if something were to happen. Make a decision and act with it with all your effort. Okay, not second guessing yourself. If you're gonna rush a gunner or a shooter, you do it with all your effort. If you're gonna throw something at them, throw it with all your effort. Slide. Decide ahead of time. Slide.
Cactus 1539 hit birds, so you've lost thrust on both engines, returning back.
All right. Who has seen the movie Sully? It's about the pilot that landed in the Hudson River. Okay. This is going to be a short, very short clip of exactly how he, from the time of the incident to the time he decided where he's going to land the plane. So it gives you that time, the realization of how fast you need to be acting on this.
Towards LaGuardia.
Okay, yeah.
Cactus 1539 hit birds, so you've lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
Tower, stop your departures, got emergency returning. It's 1529. He bird strike. He lost all engine. He lost the thrust in the engines. He's returning immediately.
Cactus 1529. Which engines?
He lost thrust in both engines. He said.
Got it.
Cactus 1529. We can get it for you. Do you want to try to land 1013?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
All right, Cactus 1549. It's going to be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Okay, what do you need to land? Cactus 1549. Runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic to runway 4.
Idiot. I'm not sure we can make any runway. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey? Maybe Teterboro?
Okay, yeah, off your right side is Teterboro Airport. Do you want to try to go to Teterboro?
Yes.
Teterboro, Empire, actually LaGuardia departure guy, emergency inbound. Cactus 1529, turn right 280, you can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
I'm sorry, say again, Cactus?
All right, so from the time of the bird strike to the time that he decided that he's going to land in the river was 30 seconds. A plane full of people, couple hundred, with all their lives in his hands, he decided in 30 seconds that he's going to land in the Hudson River. A lot of people thought that that was just going to kill everyone because how cold it was outside, how water landings have happened before then. So take that into respect of how would you react in a situation like that, or a similar situation, or an active shooter, or whatever it may be. You got to make sure that with all the information that you have to decide and act within seconds. That was 30 seconds. Pretty crazy. Slide. Oh, hold on. Do it again. Okay. Slide. All right. Here's some of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. Some of these are back from 1966. However, there's been more and more shootings. The one in, what was it? Mardi Gras, the vehicle that ran down people. So just make sure that when you go out that you know kind of what's happening, what threats are out there, and what you might have to do to prevent yourself or others from getting hurt. It's fine. Do a couple slides. And one more, two more. Stop. Okay. So what's your decision process making? Okay. The attack starts. You know the exits. Do you have a clear shot to the exits? You think you can make it to the exits? Yes. Run. No. Hide. Okay. Are there other exits? Has a shooter or the threat gone away? Can you run in? Yes? Yes. Okay. If it's not, if you're trapped and they're coming for you, yeah, you're fine. Okay. You pick up anything that you can, you check out them, you try to take them down before they take you down. Slide. 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 Okay. I want to stop on this one real quick because a lot of times people get this confusion with all the chaos that's happening. Okay. When you run outside, let's say PMO's called, they're right down the block and they say, hey, there's an active shooter. He's in camis and he's shooting up the auditorium. Okay. And we all go out running. Okay. PMO's not going to know who's the threat and who's the victim. So when you go out, once you're safe, okay, make sure you slow down and follow all commands from PMO or the authorities at that given time. Okay. Because the last thing that you want is you're running at PMO, they mistaken you for a threat and they take you down. Okay. Medical. What's the ditty back in boot camp or OCS that they've always told you in TCCC? What's that? Nope. I like it. Self-aid. What's that? Nope. Self-aid, buddy aid, foreman aid. They still treat T-Chat? No? All right. Self-aid, buddy aid, treat foreman aid. Okay. So what that means is treat yourself. If you got a gunshot wound, put pressure on it. If you're unconscious, someone will beside you that's not hurt, they'll help you out. And when the EMS arrives, they'll tend to you then. Okay. Slide. Okay. Like I said, police responders can take 3 to 5 minutes. When they get here, there's going to be a lot of confusion. So make sure your hands are seen. Make sure that there's no confusion. As most as you can kind of take down for them. And just listen to them with all their commands. If they want you to get down, then you're the victim and put your hands behind your back, do it. Okay. Slide. Insider threat. Slide. All right. Go ahead and read insider threat. What that is.
Insider threats are posed by persons trusted access to harm to the department's facilities, resources.
All right, insider threat, workplace violence, active shooter, espionage, leaking classified information, and theft. Any one of us can be an insider threat. Not saying that any of us are insider threats, but any one of your coworkers can be an insider threat. Who's ever heard of Edward Snowden? Okay. He worked for one of the 3-letter agencies, did a lot of top secret stuff, and basically went against his country and spilled a lot of secrets. Okay, so what that means is make sure you know who you're working with. Identify if there's anything that's kind of different with them, if they're closed off and when they're supposed to be open, if they're not as active as they usually are. All these are like key indicators that maybe an insight to an insider threat. So here are some of the indicators. I'll give it a second for you to kind of look over. Okay. You see something, say something. That's the trend here. You see something, say something. Don't be silent. Silence never does anything. Everyone's a mandatory reporter. Everyone's a range safety officer. Okay. Everyone needs to do this. If you see something, say something. Okay. These are a couple people that you can report to. Chaplain, Lieutenant Command, medical personnel, NCIS, military police, etc. Slide. And we'll briefly touch on this, IEDs and suspicious activities. Who works in the post office? Anybody? You see me now? Yep, got a couple of you. Okay, who works down at supply? Boom, right there. That's my shot. Okay. Who works up at the battalion? That's one. All right. So everyone kind of receives packages all around the space. Okay. Go ahead and hit the slide. With that, if you're not kind of tracking or there's not the right markings or it was dropped off by someone that you have never seen, make sure you kind of note that and let your command or NCO know. Slide. Here's just some of the indicators for suspicious activity. Like I said, we've all received packages here on base. If it's not looking like anything that you received or someone that you received before, let someone know that. Okay. Slide. DOD, FPCons, and threat level. Slide. Okay. This is Defense Intelligence Agency, pardon me, how they kind of classify the different levels of terrorist threats. Slide. Next are FPCons. Who kind of lives off base and drives through base, and you see the FPCon level of Bravo. Everyone? Yeah, everyone. Okay. These are kind of the classifications between them. We got Delta, Charlie, Bravo, Alpha, Normal. Okay. Doubt anyone here has ever been at FPCon Normal unless you're like a master guns or a lieutenant colonel back in the early 2000s. But those are the five. Slide. All right. So with that, I have just 3 or 4 questions to make sure everyone was paying attention and not sleeping. Okay. What is the first step in the terrorist planning cycle? Who said? We're on target selection. By hanging up target. Okay. Hit his hand. It's not my fault. All right. Next, 2 types of homegrown terrorism. What are they? Yep. Anyone? Domestic? Okay, it's domestic violent extremists and homegrown violent extremists. All right. Okay. I didn't hear. Okay. Suspicious activity. Who do you report it to? Eagle Eyes. Who said it? Who said Eagle Eyes? All right. Chain of command. Who said it? We got one more. OD. Who said OD? All right. And there. Ready? Yeah, NCIS as well. I'll get you one. All right. Last one. How many FPCons are there, and can you name them?
4. Delta.
Who said 5?
5. Delta Charlie.
Man.
Alpha.
Name them.
Delta Charlie Alpha Bravo.
There you go. All right. Again, my name is Lieutenant Trumpire. I'm your battalion ATO officer as well as your supply officer. So make sure you bring all your gear back to supply when you're checking out the EASN. My team appreciates it. Other than that, we're going to do a 15-minute break. Make sure
Let's do something for 3 minutes.
First Sergeant has something to say for 3 minutes, and then we'll take a 15-minute break. You want the 5?
Nope, I don't. Hey, can everyone hear me? No, I do not need it. I think we're good. All right, I'm going to take. Oh, that's bright. I'm going to take 3 minutes. I just want to tell you like some notes I've been taking, and I want to talk to and Bravo and tell you what we're doing out there. Okay. I got to get out of here real quick, though. But I'm not going to be a very good first sergeant if I don't say something real quick. But I got a deserter last night at 01 in the morning, so I got to at least have it. Okay, I'm ready to keep it here. Okay. I want from a first sergeant's point of view, I want to talk about what the career plan was talking about. Very simple. No one knows what they're going to do 2 or 3 years before their EAS sneaks up on them. They don't know what they're going to do 8 years in, 12 years in, 21 years in. No one really has a good idea of how that's going to look. That's just my point of view. What I would tell you is you need to put yourself in a position to be able to do both. Get out of the Marine Corps or stay in the Marine Corps in a clear-cut manner. So what is that? Who thinks they know where I'm going with that? What do we think?
Prepare yourself to be promotion ready.
Promotion ready. So what do you have to not do to be promotion ready? You need to stay out of trouble. You need to stay in shape, because it's really hard to tell a Marine as a first sergeant that they're not eligible for re-enlistment because they didn't take care of themselves for those 3 or 4 years. Does everyone kind of see like where I'm going with that? Okay. Who knows what escalation of force is? Who can explain it real quick? I know you can. Go ahead, real quick. Stand up. Say it real loud. I'm an enemy and I'm coming at you. What are you doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Stop! Yep. Now keep coming.
Stop!
Okay. Now keep coming.
Okay, then I'm gonna go into escalating force, using physical force.
Yep.
Force from other individuals. Yep. Keep on going. If I have a gun, or you go down.
Go. Second. Again, not knowing how long your career is going to be. Escalation of force as a first sergeant, and I spent most of my year in the infantry, so I can explain it that way if I want. Escalation of force as a first sergeant is a negative counseling, verbal. Then it's a written one. Then it's another one. Then it's another one. Then it's a page 11. Then it's a 6105. And then it's another one. Then it's another one. Then it's an NJP, battalion, company, regiment, so on and so forth. Then it's an ADSEC. Then it's a court martial. Meanwhile, someone was telling me to stop the whole time. So every little rate structure down there could be like one of those little levels. What I'm saying is you need to put yourself in a position to make the decision that you don't know that you're going to make it. Does everyone kind of catch my drift? Okay. And if you're in a bad position already, that's okay. That's what I'm here for, and that's what your leaders are here for. Got it? That's my note on that. And you learned a little bit about escalation of force, which would bleed into the OODA loop process. So the loop on the OODA is just that process repeating itself. Gotcha, sir. All right. Why do we do BITS training? I'll tell you why. Because in like 2009 or 10 or something, we didn't do it before that. We just did 96 briefs and we talked and we did like Friday formations and stuff like that. But it wasn't really helping. Okay. So we started piling into theaters and piling into different rooms, and we started formalizing it in hopes that it would get people back into the rhythm after the 96 and then the other 96 and then the other 96 and the deployment and the things and all those things, right? So I get it. Yeah, it's a check in the box, but I've been to BITS training that lasted a whole week long before. Okay, not just half the day. So yeah, check in the box, you got it, like Sergeant Major said, but there's a lot of information that you can do to what? Further on your career. Okay. I already got the OODA loop, got it, made sure I got it. Good. If you're in Bravo Company, I'm not sure what the next couple of courses are, but if you're in Bravo Company, right after this, we're all going to go out and get in a big school circle. Then we're going to break up into our sections. We're going to knock out UMAP it, and then we'll be good. Got it? Okay. Any questions over any of that? Does that all make sense? I can keep going, but I'm not. Bravo Company knows I can keep going, but I'm going to keep it at that. Good? All right. Thanks.
Okay, you can execute a 15-minute break and be back at 10:30.
You know where the first one?
Cowboy Company, if you have knights on the roster, come over here now.
She's got alpha.
Yo, me voy a matar.
Where's the Bruce? Oh, the Bruce. Hoping that I probably got all the last day.
I need a big.
What's the difference? It's like some kind of mixed wines. I'm gonna say.
There's the dude that stood right here to the right. Beginning.
Yeah. Let me go ahead.
Looks like they did. It looks like they might have actually stayed in.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we could do that.
Because there was, I think, say, 15 slides I had in this one, and probably 30 or 40 I had in the
Yeah,
next
you
one.
could have, yeah, because, you know. So I request because of the timeline. A couple of questions that I had. Hitting on your spending. Funds to speak to. Speak to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sir. Right after 15 minutes. He doesn't need it, but just because he did. Did you send? Did you put an email? You added an email to anybody?
Yeah, whoever, yeah, this, the one that, I mean, that one there's, it's good. As long as risk management's after that, it's fine. But yeah, I checked them both in the file you sent. They were both in
Okay.
there.
Okay. Do you see Marsha? Yeah, I didn't want to like keep going through all of them.
No.
Because then. Yeah. Yeah, there, it didn't make it in.
Which one did?
The Marsha.
Which one?
Marsha's line. He said he put it into the.
I don't do anything with Marshall.
Do you need them?
For the only one I had was the weather and the risk management. Is the risk
Okay,
management in there?
Oh, yeah, it's right after the cold weather. So
Yeah.
you're good with that?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now, whoever is coming over, you know, if they need more slides, just. I don't know, I don't have, I think they can do a brief without it. Thanks for last minute, they contacted somebody. Okay, yeah, they can push it up slides, they've done it fine.
Right there.
That's fine, sir. Okay, we'll go with that, sir. And we're good, sir. Thank you for the technical support. You're like. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Yeah, it's a cool one, the risk management. Risk management has the most, so you just want to keep getting through whatever you.
Yeah, I hit a bunch of them, so if, as long as they stay hidden, okay, so. So I pulled it back up this morning from email and they've all been hidden for some reason.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's,
Might just be clicking it very fast.
yeah, that'll be,
It's good that there's so many forwarding on his end, in case we can, you know, we need to have people that need to see it before let's they're recording. Later. Thank you for coming through. Every time.
I'll give them till 10:25 and I go and start it.
Awesome.
So I can get rolling.
And I just, you know how it goes with it.
Yeah.
The sharing screen.
Hey, I don't know why. I don't.
Leave it up to me.
Exit, we go back to the
Thanks, way.
scroll all the way down to the side of it. It's like around 90 or something like that. Just that.
Awesome. All right, start here. All right, here. This is a mouse in case this.
Just start going. Yeah, I'm sure not doing
Pretty relevant, especially with the weather coming in.
All right, good morning. I'm gonna go ahead and start it off and leave about 5 minutes for the break, but thanks guys for taking your seats, whatnot. Try to keep you on schedule. We're a little bit behind right now. I'll try to make this as painless as possible. My name is Danny Brewer. I work for Base Safety Office. Got a couple of quick classes I'm gonna kind of top over for you today. The PowerPoints I'm using are typically about an hour long. Trust me, I'm not gonna have you here that long. So we'll go through this, try to get the information that's pertinent to you, and we get to go on with our day. So first class, cold weather safety. That's actually probably pretty pertinent considering the storm we're about to possibly have. We'll go up real quick. If at any point in time you have questions, please raise your hand or ask me questions wherever how we want to get my attention. I'm pretty much just going to roll through this because I have 2 separate PowerPoints to give. So again, get my attention if you have information that I can pass to you. Dan here. Is that better? I'm not used to using microphones, so I apologize. All right, so COVID-related injuries. So we'll talk about that and how we can stay warm. So some of the factors for this, same as a heat injury, previous cold-related injuries that can cause you to be more predisposed to those cold injuries. Health conditions that you may have or your Marines may have. Before I go any further with this too, the cold weather improvement team that we do as long as risk management the next class is look out for each other. Okay. A lot of times you may not know the symptoms yourself. You may not see them, but the person to the left and right may notice that for you and they can help you out. So take care of each other. Keep going on that. Poor nutrition, if you're not taking care of your body, obviously it's going to affect you. Alcohol, it may make you feel warm, but trust me, it doesn't. It actually cools down your core temperature. So smoking or any type of nicotine product will also do that for you. Underactivity or overactivity, depending on what you might be doing. Caffeine, and keep going again, cold condition medications. All these things play into that factor if you're outside working in cold for long periods of time and you get warm. So how do we prevent it? Obviously, we want to wear the proper clothing, wear layers, try to keep warm. Avoid wetness. A lot of people don't realize sometimes in the winter when you're out working that you're actually sweating. As it dries up a bit fast, you can't feel it. So make sure you pay attention to that. If you do become wet, make sure you change your clothes. Afford your Marines those opportunities to go get dry clothes if you can. Stay active. Try not to just sit around, get up and move, stretch, move your body, get your blood flowing throughout your body. Same thing I said earlier about taking care of each other. Work in pairs if you can. Make sure you're with somebody else. Consume. Sorry, my apologies. All right, high calorie food as well. Drink plenty of warm, non-caffeinated, non-alcoholic beverages, as I said earlier, and don't smoke cigarettes. Okay, might be easier for some than others, but try to get there. All right, so first we'll talk about the injury is hypothermia is the most serious. It's pretty much for this one. The bottom statement down there, hypothermia is a medical emergency, no matter the level of it. You possibly need to get them to medical treatment. All right, you want to take care of them as much as you can first, get them to a warm area. Yeah, but that will be a medical emergency. I'm not going to go through each stage of all these, again, because it would take me a little bit too long to get through all of it. We'll go. So what is hypothermia? So what it is your body, when you're out in a cold environment, so it's maybe this weekend, you're out working, your body is losing temperature faster than it can replace it. So as that happens, your body starts to cool down, your core temperature drops, and your function starts slowing down. Hypothermia is really dangerous because it slows down your mental capacity, and you may not actually realize that you're going through hypothermia. Some of the symptoms we'll see again can be quite shocking that you see it. Some people will start to actually get undressed out in the cold because they think they're not cold. So mild, obviously, if you're out in the cold, you're probably gonna have some shivering. If you can stop it voluntarily, that's mild hypothermia. So you may have pale, waxy skin, your hands may become numb. Obviously, if anybody has been out in the cold, we all know these symptoms. And that's gonna be mild hypothermia. So take a break, go inside, get somewhere warm, so you can actually get warmed up. You're not gonna get any further symptoms from hypothermia. Once we keep going it, we don't notice these symptoms, or we just avoid them, ignore them altogether, things become to get worse. Now your shivering becomes intense. You can't stop it. There's no more voluntary response for that. The box down the lower left is watch for the umbles. People start stumbling, they start mumbling, they start saying incoherent thoughts out loud. You can't understand what they're saying. Might want to get them somewhere warm and start paying attention to the signs. Once we get into severe, and now that really is a severe emergency. I've seen people in this, it's kind of scary. So they may not be able to even stay awake. Again, they might actually want to go to sleep. That's one sign of hypothermia, is start to feel tired. They want to lay down, go to sleep. They might start taking off their clothes because they think they're actually warm when they're not. So make sure you pay attention to all these signs. They may have amnesia as well. They may not remember it at all. And then obviously, if we keep going, we don't take care of these signs and symptoms, we don't pay attention. Obviously, possible death from hypothermia. Okay, again, is the most serious, and it's always an emergency, no matter the actual level of hypothermia you have. How do we treat it? Same things we said earlier about preventing. Make sure you stay warm. Okay, wear those proper layers. If you can, get out of the cold, go to a warm environment. Rotate your personnel in and out. Don't keep the same people out. Those the environment and the elements the entire time. If you can avoid that, make sure you're swapping people out. And obviously, transport them to the emergency medical facility for evaluation. As I said, hypothermia is always a medical emergency. Next, get into a little bit less serious, but still pretty serious. It's frostbite. So what happens is when you're out in the cold, your core temperature in the center of your body wants to stay warm. So what will happen is that starts to drop when you're out in the cold. Your body will start pulling the blood and everything else from your extremities, like your fingers, your toes, everything else, your ears. You start pulling that blood flow away from those, trying to keep your core temperature up. So once that happens, now your fingers and everything else is more susceptible to actually suffer damage from the frostbite. There's kind of a picture of it. There were some worse pictures, but I decided to hide them. We do have a couple ones that are not too terrible, but we'll see in a minute. And as I said, frostbite typically is going to affect your extremities, your toes, fingers, cheeks, chin, things of that nature. And it's the same thing. You want to get people to a warm area, get them out in the cold. Make sure they're wearing gloves, whatever you can do to help them out. So causes, again, air temp plus wind plus wetness. Obviously, if you're wet, it's going to make it way worse. Again, try to stay dry if you can. Touching extremely cold objects. Maybe you're working on something that's metal outside that can give you a frostbite. Treatment, again, move into a warm, dry area. Do not rub the area because that can cause skin damage. So you want to just make sure you move into a nice warm area. Okay. If you do need to put them in kind of a warmer area, do not use a hot bath. Make sure it's warm. You want to warm them up slowly and not shock the system. Make sure you do that. And obviously, if they have frostbite, look for those signs of hypothermia because it actually might be to that stage as well. Next is frostnip. Most people will get this after you're outside a little bit, 10 minutes, whatever. You start to notice that your nose is red, your cheeks start to red up. That's frostnip. Typically not that serious. It's the same thing. Don't rub it to warm up. Try to get to a warm area. Get out of that cold area so you can actually get the body warmed back up. And you can see it usually occurs around 29 degrees Fahrenheit. Same thing with treatment. It's pretty much everything else. Get them to a warm area. Again, do not use very hot objects. You want to warm it up gradually, not shock the system. Obviously, you can see at the bottom. It can be wearing gloves, whatever you need. Extra clothing items you can take with you. Make sure you have that. And here's some of those gross pictures. We've probably all heard the change your socks, drink take Motrin. It's a serious thing. If you are out in the field for a long time, out working, outdoors, make sure you pay attention to your feet and keep them dry. Right? Usually it's going to occur between 32 and 50 degrees, but it can occur in temperature as high as 60 degrees. So don't think it's just a wintertime thing. If it is a little bit cool outside and your feet are wet, excuse me, for that long period of time, it can happen. There's another picture of it might look like. Okay. Biggest thing you do is try to keep your feet dry, stay warm if possible, pay attention to signs and symptoms. As I said there, change your socks, try to, and then get out of that cold if you can. And don't sleep with wet socks. Obviously, if they're wet, take them off. Okay, don't wear tight socks either. Well, I guess it's gonna freeze up on me. That's pretty much the end of the cold weather injury. Anybody have any questions on that while I try to get the load for the next PowerPoint? Any questions on that? If I can get into it, the next one is risk management. And we'll go through that. Everybody's pretty much heard of this, and you've got the training pretty much your entire career. If you've been in the Marine Corps for any amount of time, you've got some kind of risk management training. And I'm hoping all the slides stay hidden because I think it's like a 70 PowerPoint slide, or yeah, 70 slide PowerPoint. I'm not going to try to give you all that. If I can actually get to work again. It's like tough rain, so. Okay, well, as you saw in that picture right there, there was probably a severe breakdown in risk management. I don't think that was going to work out well for him. And, but here's some of the statistics. These are fairly old. I'm not sure exactly when they cut off the information, but you can see some of that there. 15 of the last 20 years, we've lost more Marines to non-combat off-duty mishaps than we actually did in theater. Okay, so make sure we got to take care of people back here. I guess we forget sometimes we're back home. You know, take into account we just think, oh, we're back home, we have to worry about things. Risk management applies every day of our lives, so we have to take account for that. So the overview for some of this is facilitate our risk management, apply that actual process. I'll walk through that. Again, I hope the slides stay hidden, so I don't have to skip through all of them. Here are the two references that govern risk management for us. The OPNAV is 3500.39 Delta and the Marine Corps 5100.29 Charlie, which is the Marine Corps Safety Management System. Here's that picture again. Again, that probably is not going to work out too well for him. So what is a mishap? You can see at the bottom there, most of it's cut off, but it's an unplanned or unexpected event that results in death, injury, and or property damage. Okay, so that's what a mishap is, as defined by Marine Corps Order 5129 Charlie. There we go, same statistics I just said earlier, so we're going to get past that. So why do they occur? Okay, so we can see the two columns here. We have a lack of the different things we have for communication, situational awareness, assertive teamwork, and then an abundance of all the other things. Those things tied together are what make us have our mishaps. Abundance of fatigue, distraction, complacency. That is a big one for us. Again, down at the bottom, approximately 85% of all mishaps can be attributed to human error. So what is risk management? Is our decision-making process. I know the lieutenant talked on the OODA loop a little bit, observe, orient, decide, act. Risk management is more like an in-depth version of that. We're always doing some kind of risk management in our day-to-day lives, regardless of what it is. So we have to identify the risk once we know they're there. We have to assess them and implement controls. Okay. Once we implement the controls, we have to reduce those hazards and make sure they're effective controls. Overall goal, obviously, is to prevent those mishaps from happening to begin with. We don't want to injure our personnel, our equipment. We want to stay mission ready, preserve that combat effectiveness. So here we have all the different factors. Call this the Swiss cheese model for risk management. Once everything lines up in those Swiss cheese, that arrow shoots all the way through, now we have a mishap. So everything to that point led up to that mishap, now we have problems. If we get rid of any single one of those, we now have mission success. But those things we have to identify so that we can actually get rid of them so we don't have mishaps. And as I said earlier, we'll always do some kind of risk management, regardless of what it is. Your finances, your housing, Well, obviously the winter storm that's coming up this weekend, depending on what we get or don't get. I've heard we can get anywhere from 1 to 5,000 inches of snow. Nobody really knows. We'll see what happens. But we're always doing that risk management every day. Here are the principles. Accept the risk only when the benefits outweigh the cost. Accept no unnecessary risk. Make risk decisions at the right level. That is a big one. If you don't have that proper level of authority, make sure you're not making a risk decision if you're not authorized to do so. And then anticipate risk and manage that by planning. Here's our 3 levels of RM. I'll go ahead and skip through that. Get it up there. So starting on the left says time available plan. So we'll say that's long-term, maybe a year to 3 years out. We're doing our annual training plan. Maybe we're planning for deployment. We have that in-depth risk management. We have everything we can use, our publications, instruction, all the doctrine we use. We can plan for that properly. Once we get to the next step, deliberate, that's usually around the 6-month time mark. We'll get a little bit closer. Maybe deployment's coming up. We've got to take it to other factors. Now we're going to start holding briefs, develop anything else, maybe do some run-throughs. And then after that, time critical. And that's when we're getting down to the wire. We have to make those risk decisions now, analyze all the evidence that we have, those mishaps or factors, get rid of them as best we can. And then obviously, once that, it's already happened. Say right there, controls from one level become resources for the next. Just keep adding on as you go through the levels of risk management. Here's the process. Number 1, identify the hazards. 2, once you've identified, we have to assess them. How's it going to affect you? How could it possibly affect you? You'll make those risk decisions, implement controls, and then obviously you want to supervise and evaluate. Now, at any point in time in the risk management process, you can stop and go back to any other steps. Okay, it's not just a constant circle. You may get to supervise and evaluate and realize that the controls you've implemented actually made the problem worse. It can happen. So you may have to go back, try something else, and to keep the cycle going. Here's our risk assessment matrix based on probability and severity. You've probably all seen this before. And what we use, or basically we use a scale 1 through 5. So you can see different ones. This one is what the Marine Corps put out. Froze up again. There we go. So moving on, once you get out of that time, critical risk management, again, if something's going to happen, maybe we just didn't have the time to plan, something popped up unexpectedly. Mnemonic for that is ABCD. So assess the situation, balance your resources, communicate with others, and do a debrief. So it's kind of like the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. You got to do it in the moment. Here, compared, we have time critical versus deliberate. Okay, deliberate is more, we have more time to plan for, we can anticipate things better. This is how they play into each other right there. Time critical, again, it's not ideal to use time critical, but you're going to have to in your day-to-day life, it's going to pop up. But again, that's how they interface with each other for the risk management process. And there it is, how it all relates. You have your 3 risk management levels, in-depth, deliberate, time critical, your 4 principles, which I read through earlier, and then the actual 5-step process that we have to use to make sure we're eliminating those hazards to keep our people safe. I think that's close to the end, if it'll let me. Let's do it. That's the last slide right there.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, and that was it. Hey, any questions on risk management? Again, I know these are very WAFOP classes. I have to hide a lot of slides in there because we usually it's an hour long and more classes we teach. All right, as long as nobody has any questions, hey, that's our summary right there. Everyone has a role in risk management. Okay, again, the big part I always say is look out for each other. You know the person sitting left or right of you. You're probably sitting with your friend group, your peer group. Pay attention to the signs and symptoms, whatever it might be ailing them, or how you might they help them. Maybe not just cold, anything else in their day-to-day life, taking care of each other. Okay. Be a part of the Marine Corps family, as we obviously are. Okay, so if you don't have anything for me, thank you for your time. Hopefully, it was a little bit of information. We'll keep it going, so get out of here.
Hey, good morning, Marines. My name is Lieutenant Lewis. I am your friendly adjutant at the S1. If you don't know where the S1 is, you probably didn't check in with us. So come on by, we'll help you out. So, our first class, I have been given the privilege of giving 2 classes today, in 15 minutes, and there's 26 slides. So buckle up, know where you're going to start. Let's go. VWAP. So, in case you didn't know, you as a victim or a witness to a crime have certain privileges. Who is a victim? It is someone who is in direct physical, emotional, or pecuniary harm. That last word is just a fancy term for financial, with a little bit more in depth on the legal side. It does not include an individual involved in the crime. So if you're involved, this is your first warning, do not come to me. Do not come to Miss Claudia, who's our VWAP representative. If you do, we will ensure good order and discipline is maintained. Those who are victims for VWAP, these are your included but not limited to privileges. I'll give you a couple seconds to read them. Time is up. I have 15 minutes. If you are a witness to a crime, there are also things that you are entitled to. Excuse me, not entitled to, you're privileged to. We as the command representatives do our best to give you these privileges, but we cannot always guarantee them due to certain events that may be occurring, whether it's secret information or whether it's like weird timing. We just do our best. It also does not include you if you were the getaway driver. This is your second warning. If you come to us, good order and discipline will be maintained. I'll give you a couple seconds to read these rights if you're going to be a witness. Just so you know I'm not lying, here's your references. And that concludes VWAP. Moving on to records management. I know, everybody's favorite topic, mine included. Here's our overview. And here's our references, just so you know I'm not lying. Background. So, why do we do records management? We will get to that in the very last slide. You will be thoroughly entertained. But essentially, everybody's a records management keeper, one way or another. It is your responsibility as an individual to ensure that your records are maintained and that of your companion. For electronics management, there are actually 2 types of ways to manage records. The first one is the electronic, that is the primary. It is either through your respective systems in your organization, i.e. RPAC has UDMIPS. They use not so much EPAR, but you do get EPAR. My litigation departments, you have CLA and you have your fancy little litigation services. Thank you for your support. And then PMO, you have your reports that you do, CID, a little bit of NCIS, but you're not here, and then actual MPs. And then the BRG as well. Don't forget about me. Paper records, that's the bad news. Paper records are actually no longer authorized as of June 30th, 2024, with an exception in writing from NARMA. If you have paper records, I suggest you upload them into your repositories. The only other repository that is authorized outside of McTims, MOL, OMPF, like all of those systems that are already in place is SharePoint. If you need assistance with this, come see me. I am your records management officer. I'll give you a couple seconds to read the slide. It's records versus non-records. So what is actually a record? Bottom line up front, it is the final draft that has been signed off by the final entity and is ready for enter into the storage. Non-records include reproduction of those publications, so copies, reference material, duplicate extra copies, correspondence that requires no action, like catalogs, working papers, stuff like that. So nothing that really needs to be signed up. We are all red-blooded Americans here, with the exception of a few of us. That's okay. I appreciate your service anyway. If you want to make copies, go right ahead. The only one that really needs to be maintained is the actual record. So if you want to kill trees, by God, you do it. Kill those trees. Life cycle of a record. You have your creation and collection, your maintenance and use, and your disposition. The creation and the collection, so think investigation, right? It's easy for me. I'll try to touch on RPAC a little bit. So investigations for this side, that is you gathering the evidence. For RPAC, that is you telling the individual to fill out this form. Then you have your actual maintenance and use. So the form is done, you put it in filing, and then you pull it out when you need it. And then lastly, disposition. I would say about 90% of disposition is temporary to destroy after 3 years. That is not the case for everything, and I know our litigation team has a lot of those that are not like that. If you have questions about that, again, come see me or go see your staff and see us. They'll know better. So, WIFM, does anybody actually know what WIFM is nowadays? Nope. All right, WIFM, what's in it for me? The selfish Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli doesn't care about anything about himself. Well, I'm going to bring it down all the way to your level. But first, it's everybody's responsibility. All right? You, as a government employee, are required to maintain records. What that looks like is dependent on what you actually do. RPAC, EPAR, EMIS, the legal teams, CLA, all the legal services, EMO, and then the brig as well. For your professional, you want to be promoted, right? You don't want to be a Lance Corporal all day, every day, being told what to do, getting the base pay. Nobody likes them. So you want to get promoted. Well, in order to get promoted, you have to know your job. You have to know it well. Records is part of that. You need to know what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to maintain it, because if something happens and it's not there, it's not filed, it never happened. And then lastly, personal requirements. This is where I bring it down to the selfish individual. And that's okay. I'm selfish. So why does it matter to me? Why does it matter to you? Let's say I broke my back. All right. I broke my back, but I never went to medical. Well, if I didn't go to medical and I didn't file those claims, I can't go on a med board. It never happened. What if you're in trouble? You get a 6105 and you try to rebuttal it, but you never submit the paperwork. It never happened. That is why these things matter. It is up to you, the individual, to maintain your own records in your OMPF. If you don't know what that is, go see your staff and see your OIC. In your medical records, continuously county medical, or your staff and see your OIC. Why do I say you as the individual are required? Because you, as the individual, have all these things plus yourself to worry about. Your leadership cares. They do, I promise. But all of us in leadership positions are pulled 15 ways till Sunday. We cannot care as much as you care. We would love to. I wish I could get to work at 09 every day and get off at 1500. That would be awesome. I do not do that. I have other responsibilities to my CO, my XO, and my sergeant major. It is up to you, the individual, to make sure your documents are in order so you can re-enlist with a career planner. See you. If you do get in trouble, you can fight it with the Defense Service Organization. Or if you're going to medical, you're getting FedSep, you can go see Ms. Claudia Latner, who is also our limited duty coordinator, and you can get your documents uploaded so you can get medically separated. Other than that, does anybody have any questions on records or VWAP? All right, thank you for your time.
Good morning, I'm Sergeant Moorhead with the Traffic Division and PMO. Came here to talk to y'all about traffic safety, of course. One big thing with the traffic safety is just being aware of your surroundings while you're driving. What do we all have in our pockets that distract us from our driving? What do most cars nowadays have in their dash that distract you from your driving as well? your display. So I'm going to say that 7% of our traffic collisions that happened on base or resulted, or admittedly, the person admitted that they were bitching with their cell phone, messing with their radio, or they're reaching down their passenger seat for something else. Okay, that's one way we want to mitigate traffic collisions on base. Just so you're aware, North Carolina and the federal government are getting away from saying traffic accidents, not accidents. Something happened to cause that collision, right? The big one we're going to hit on a little bit is alcohol-related incidents within traffic. Came up. So, what is alcohol when it enters your body? What is it called? Central nervous depressant, right? What does the central nervous system depressant do? Sorry? Right. You're not able to react to things as quickly as you think you are. What is driving? Driving is a multifaceted, attention detail oriented task. When your central nervous system is being affected by alcohol, you can't do it. You can't drive as effectively as you think you can. Okay. So when you drink alcohol, it's carried through your blood and it's attracted to water. What's the biggest organ that houses water in your body? You might know. Your brain. So alcohol literally goes straight to your brain and affects your central nervous system that way. All right. But the good thing is we are doing something about it. We were at 220 alcohol-related incidents within PMO that were with traffic. 220 incidents in 2022. Anybody guess where we're at right now? 2020, or where we were in 2025? We're going to stab at it. We were below 100. We were about 89 DWIs on base, excluding traffic collisions. Okay, so that's a pretty good number, honestly. On base, we see about 580 to 660 traffic collisions a year. Most of them are distracted drivers, some form or another. And then with speed, that's another big topic that we want to hit on today. Who knows what Wilson Boulevard speed limit is? 5. So what order can you find? What is the order for traffic that you can find all the base safety, all the base speed limits and everything that's posted? If it's not posted, you can find it there as well. Does anybody know the number for the order? Anybody? It's going to be 5560.2 Charlie. Okay, you can look that up on Marine Corps Installations East Camp Lejeune. You can find everything you can know about traffic enforcement on the base. See, now I want to open it up and kind of talk to y'all. Does anybody have any questions for me as a PMO representative about traffic, collisions, driving, anything like that, or the installation? Well, I want to just talk to y'all. Anybody have any questions? Want to talk about it?
Recent trends this past year, what have you seen? It's happening more and more.
So I'm going to go off of January alone first with recent trends and then go from there. So the first weekend of January, the 96, unfortunately, we had about 10 DWIs that weekend. One of my guys, so like I said, I'm in charge of the driving division on base. We do a lot of DWIs. One of my guys got called to one of the gates and was investigating a DWI with another MP. When he finished up with that DWI, helping another MP process that DWI, 5 minutes later, he was on another one right there at that gate. So that's a big thing. Driving while impaired, drugs or alcohol, not okay. Not wearing your seatbelt while you're driving and getting in traffic collisions has been a big one. Recently, we were at a big traffic collision at McHugh and Gonzalez, and we went and looked at the seatbelts to see if, does anybody know how you can tell the seatbelt if you're wearing your seatbelt during traffic collision? No, well, kind of. No, well, that could also happen with your seatbelt. No, so your seatbelt will lock in the position that you were in at speeds after impact at speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. So we can go in your car and just see where it's sitting. So if it's all the way pulled out, that means you're wearing it one line. If it's stuck up and down, that means you weren't wearing it. The individual who got the most injured in that collision was not wearing a seatbelt. He wasn't even the driver. So that's the biggest problem we have right now is avoiding collisions, taking statements, looking at the vehicles, and seeing that you weren't even wearing your protective equipment, basically. We just got to know with risk management. So that's one of the biggest ways to mitigate risk. Any other questions about any other trends?
Are you guys preparing for the snowstorm?
So for the snowstorm that's coming, we advise everybody to stay off the roads as much as possible, especially unimproved or side roads. The road we see the most collisions on, because it's the most populated, is Julian C. Smith down there by the water. You easily can slide into a ditch over there. So driving on the roads at all while there's any type of ice or snow on the ground is highly ill-advised. But us being prepared, so the way PMO deals with that internally is they have certain zones they're supposed to be in. They go to that zone, and they are going to do what's called, they're going to respond to the calls that they get dispatched to. So it's going to be minimal driving around, just so we can keep our vehicles running and keep our guys safe. But for you all driving during the winter storm, depending on what happens, please follow the protocols set forth by the base personnel when they put out their WAM now. So not driving on base, reducing traffic flow would be great. Does anybody know the legal limit for DWI on base? It says it's 0. So the way that North Carolina, which is what we have to go off of, because the federal government does not have written down a preachable impairment. Does anybody want to know what a preachable impairment is? Or does anybody want to take a stab at what a preachable impairment is? It's when your blood alcohol level or content is high enough that it affects your driving facilities. So the legal limit is 0.08. Unless you're under 21, then it is 0. Remember, said 0. But the legal limit is 0.08. Now, where we get to a preachable impairment is where you're under 0.08. We can prove that your driving was being affected. So speeding, crashing, failure to maintain lane, stuff like that. I don't tell you that to go out and train and see if you can get home. I just want you to be aware of everything, of all the laws, okay? We do not want to have to deal with you at the gate or even worse in a crash while you're repaired. Trust me, your command doesn't want to either. It's even worse on base because you can get double tap, go down the county on base for your insurance. Anybody else have any other questions about traffic? I really like to talk to y'all more or less and not just give out stats. Along with the driving when it's cold and the conditions are getting worse, please make sure you're driving at a reasonable speed. So allowing yourself enough time to stop. So Wilson Boulevard being 55 miles an hour, parts of Holcomb and parts of Marines, States Ferry back there. Please make sure you're driving at a reasonable speed. So that means reducing your speed down to 45 or 35, especially when the winter storm, if it comes. Just so you can increase your following distance, increase your stopping distance. Does anybody out here come through States Ferry day in the morning? No? What out there is the biggest threat to the vehicles? The deer. So if somebody in front of you stops for a deer and you don't see that, they could miss the deer, but you could hit them because you're following too close. That's the biggest problem, especially in the winter months and when it's really cold like this. We're going to see more and more deer out there, especially in the rear of States Ferry and along Wilson Boulevard near Haggeroo between Brewster and Arnold Wilson, between Haggeroo or Bougainville and Brewster Boulevard. That's the biggest threat. Do y'all know where Old Boy Scout Camp Road is on Wilson? So that's where the biggest collisions for deer happen on Wilson. But just increase your following distance when inclement weather comes, especially during, if we come back to work Monday morning and there's still some kind of ice in the road, we want to prevent traffic collisions as much as possible. Wearing your seatbelt during those times will be advised. Anybody else have any other questions? Pedestrians. We haven't had any pedestrian collisions this year or last year. We go with the annual year statistics. 2025, we only had about 5. Biggest thing we see is people aren't stopping at crosswalks, or they're not looking at the crosswalk when they're driving up to it. Another big issue we have is pedestrians are going blindly through a crosswalk. So if you're on McHugh, Stone Street, or on New River, please make sure you're looking before you cross the crosswalk, okay? That's the biggest thing, because we don't want any kind of incident to happen between you and you. I guess also somebody's hand come up back here a minute ago. Okay, concealed carry firearms? Okay, so transporting a firearm on base, I'll go through that first. Does anybody know how to transport a firearm on base properly? Is that it? That's all you got? Correct. So you can only transport a firearm on base. District 4, no mag insert, no round chamber. You can put the mag in there, but no rounds. In a lockbox, locked, ammunition should be separate from the gun, and you have to have it registered on base. Does anybody know how you register the gun on base? Anybody have an idea? So you can go through the website online. If you go to the PMO page on Campus Union, you can do it like that. It's a CAC-enabled website, so you have to have a CAC reader to do it. So either have your CAC reader at home, or you have to have it do it on a computer at work somewhere. Or you can go to building 58 upstairs. There's a crew that deals with PMO admin. They can help you register your gun on base. If you live in base housing, you're required to register your firearm if you are going to be housing in your quarters. If you live in the barracks, you're going to store a firearm in the battalion, regiment, division armory. You are still required to register on base. To answer your question, sir, you cannot conceal carry on base. So if it's not in the condition that I've told you before how to transport it, you're wrong. Now, transporting firearms. You cannot just transport your firearm in your car all the time. So if you live in the barracks and you think you're going to keep your firearm in your car, not the armory or your buddy's house on base, or however else legally you can do it, you can pull it over and you're going to search. You have to go in between the range and your house to transport a firearm. The only caveat to that is you just bought it at the CX round 2. Is that clear? Does anybody have any questions about that? So, locked container, unloaded, separate from the ammunition. The ammunition does not have to be locked. Okay? No. There's not even a certain number of guns you can have in your house. You just have to register. I'm going to hit on, you're supposed to register your vehicles, all vehicles on base as well. So if you take care of that, you take care of that through PMO admin. They will help you as well as, and then getting through, do we have anybody on base right here that rides motorcycles? Motorcycles? You do? Anybody else? You did through BRC? Did? How easy was that? Super easy? Felt to Joe 4 that who did the course? Was it Joe 4 who did the course? Okay. Well, to drive on base, you have to be with a motorcycle, you have to be indoors through your state, hit BRC, and register your motorcycle on base. Okay? Any other questions about traffic safety on base or trends?
All right, we've already had a few moments to talk about prevention today. So I'm your battalion prevention integrator. Primary prevention is my wheelhouse. We're trying to stay on this side of boom, out of trouble. So my game is trying to keep you guys as active as possible, keep you tall, and keep you alive. All right, and it seems like an easy thing to do, but when people start isolating themselves, even Sergeant Major said earlier, he said, one of the best prevention things that you can do is what? Talk about the marine on your left or your right. Just keep talking. In my years of experience, when folks are contemplating the elephant in the room, we're trying to prevent some of the big risk factors: suicide, sexual assault, child abuse, some of the things were mentioned already earlier today. the Marine Corps has compacted that training into a 90-minute session. What is it called? We're going to be talking about it this afternoon. UMAP. What does UMAP stand for? Anybody know what the acronym stands for? Okay, so Unit Marine Awareness for Prevention Awareness Training. It is a compressed 90-minute session to hit all the elephants sitting in the middle of the room, the things we're trying to stay left of boom with. Does that make sense? Sexual assault. I mean, how many sexual assault trainings have y'all attended? I mean, every week there's one right down the hall from my room. There's domestic violence, substance abuse is always going to be the elephant, the big elephant in the middle of the room. Not to say that substance abuse didn't show up today, but we have our substance abuse prevention, Ms. Cara Randall. She has a table back there. It's always going to be a big factor because when people are using alcohol for mentioning traffic safety, what part of the brain gets jacked up? You're drinking. How many of you guys have been drunk before? You know how to drink. Rhetorical question. You make the best decisions. Your prefrontal cortex is literally hindered. Your executive functioning skills. What's the famous last words of a redneck? Hold my beer. Watch this. Usually something high risk happens. So we're going to break out this afternoon the UMAP training sectors with our companies. I am your core master trainer for this battalion. I can create master trainers and I can create trainers so we can support this mandatory annual requirement. So I highly recommend that company level leadership that are in the room nominate their UMAP master trainers or trainers that they would like to make master trainers so we can continue this cycle. That's how it's supposed to work. I also work with Oscar, our Oscar team reps and our Oscar representative for the battalion. Trained many Oscar team members and reps. Anybody here an Oscar team member or a representative? There are some in the room. But our hope is to put those folks to work so we can fulfill those requirements as well. Operational stress. All right. So with that, I'm here in the battalion. There's all my information up there. I want to thank Captain Hernandez for putting such a good program together with her shop. And I'm going to hand the mic off because here we go. You back.
Hey, good one. That was Mr. Lewis. So right now, this is the time where we're gonna shut down base leader bits training and continue it at the company level for UMAP. So if you don't know your timelines, please get with your company training sections and they can help you out with that and just make sure it's recorded and uploaded to McTims. Those of you who are dialed in, thank you. If there's any comments or anything left to say, now is the time to do that. We can hear you through the speakers here in the base theater before we break. Any comments from those dialed in? I'm going to take that as no. And you can find these slides and revisit all the training again under Mickey East, HNS Battalion S3 training, tab and teams. And then also this is being recorded and also there's a coverage from Comstrat on this. So if you weren't able to attend or your Marines still need to get this training before the end of January, please come contact the S3 and you can come get it from us. Thank you.